Oh, hey. What's up, nerds? How are all of you doing on this fine Monday Eve? I hope well. You know, wouldn't that be good? Because, friends, oh yes, the time has come for us to begin our journey. But let's start with saying hello. Who's here? Say hi. Hi, Bildo, living human being. How's it going, buddy? Neza, hello, hello. Philip, how's it going? Jimja. Brent, how are you doing, bud? Pokey, how's it going? Ikaro, hello, hello. Ghost Reaper, hardcore player, nice to see you. Geostellar, you glorious Tyrannosauri. The Venusian Sun. The Venusian Sun, you are a little bit newer to our community, but you are a ever-growing presence in this space. And I will not deny that. How's it going, Geo? It's been a hot sec, hasn't it? Hardcore. How are you, buddy? What's up, Shades? Oh yeah, today's gonna be fun. What's up, Bon Appetit? Delport! How's it going, buddy? I have nice skin? Well, I did pick the flesh suit. I didn't know what your cultural norms were, but I did pick the flesh suit. You haven't had the homebrew bug as of late? That's fine, buddy. Gem Jar, thank you for the resub. Do the Blocksallies have flesh tailors? If they can afford them. Happy day after your birthday, Ghost Reaper. Happy birthday to you, to me, to us, to them, you know? Pasta, how's it going? Kip, how you doing, buddy? You're old now? How old are you? No, don't tell me. I don't care. Let me guess. You're under the age of 87. Everybody thinks you're so old when you're under the age of 87, but really, 87's when it really clicks on. Before 87, you're kind of just chilling. You know? We have not looked at Project Arctic yet. No, I think we're probably going to do that next week. I got to talk to the people who are sort of organizing it. Anyway, hi guys. How's it going? How's everybody feeling tonight? Good? Well, I hope so. I've been trying to watch a scary movie every night before bed for, you know, spooky season. Some have been good, some have been bad. And last night I couldn't find a movie to watch. I was going to watch a movie that was suggested on stream called Cemetery Man, but I was struggling to find a version of it online. But I did find something that I've been wanting to watch for a while since I heard about it and I kind of forgot about, which is the new Junji Ito show, Uzumaki. Oh my god, Uzumaki's good. It's a really, if you don't know what Uzumaki is a manga of sorts, a horror Japanese comic book. And it is by Junji Ito, who is like one of the best living horror writers. And it is probably the best depiction of cosmic horror I have ever seen. the manga is, in that it is the plot of it. The plot of Uzumaki, in the briefest of nutshells, without giving anything away, it's about a town that collectively goes crazy, both mentally and physically, because of the influence of spirals, which is very weird, but it works very well. We're not doing the wheel today. Turn off wheel. Yeah, but it's weird and it's compelling and it's haunting. The comic is, anyway, and the show is very well animated. Very well animated. Like, it looks like the comic book. And I was reading about it online, and part of why it took so long to make is they animated it in a bunch of really weird ways to try to really maintain the feel and the detail of the way, like, of the art in the comics. And they used, like, rotoscoping and stuff. They did all sorts of crazy things. Oh my goodness, it's good. It's really good. It's like, oh man, I want more episodes. That was loud. Junji Ito's works are your favorite genre of horror, as in, wouldn't it be fucked up if? Yeah. But I think that one thing that, like I don't get scared of movies or books a lot. Like, yeah, like I don't have nightmares about that kind of stuff ever. Most of my nightmares are like, oh my god, I forgot to pay my taxes, or oh my god, I accidentally ran someone over with a car or something. But his art and his stories do a better job of, like, viscerally making me feel a feeling of haunted or dread or like, more than, like, anything else. It's crazy. So yeah, the show's good. You read that the animation adaptation goes really south after chapter 2? Well, there's only 2 episodes out so far. So I've only seen, if that's the case, then so far I've only seen the good stuff. I've also been watching a show called The Magnificent Electric Circus, I think it's what it's called. And that show's crazy. It's about people trapped in a video game, and it's very good and a little silly. Anyway, how are you guys doing? What's up? What's going on in your D&D games? I haven't played D&D with my home group in like a month and a half at this point, and we need to get another game together at some point sooner than later, or we're gonna lose track of what we have been up to. Currently, they were in a battle royale type video game world. They realized that that was like an attraction at a much larger amusement park. They broke out of it and are now in the amusement park and have decided they want to try to escape the amusement park as opposed to try to take it down. So that's where they're at in the plot. But they also learned that they're clones, and they have to decide if they want to go try to save their true bodies or leave their true bodies in stasis and go build their own new identities. So yeah, we gotta do a lot of. They have to, do that. All that has to happen. Your recent session was disastrous, but in a good way. Your character's girlfriend died. I mean, dude, disastrous in a good way is a healthy way of thinking about character death in D&D. Character death is hard. The way I think about character death is like you're reading a book that's written in like a Game of Thrones-y kind of way, where like different chapters follow different characters, and they're all kind of weaving together. And when a character dies, especially if they die in a way that is really unexpected, it's like, cool, let's just tear like a bunch of chapters out of that book and burn them and never know what they said. That's what it feels like a little bit. If a character death feels earned or the dungeon master and the player are good at like navigating through it, I think it can be amazing for the story and for the player and can have a really satisfying ending. But I think it's really hard to escape at least a little bit of that gut punch of like, fuck, they're gone, Like, it's that initial gut punch is rough. It hoits. You're DMing for a new D&D club on Wednesday. Ooh, you don't have much prepared? What should the game be about? If it's a new D&D club, I would probably not worry about what the overall game should be about and just focus on running a fun intro session and maybe use that intro session to both show a little bit about how your world or the game is unique or whatever, but I think most of what it should be is like the players, their characters like stumbling together and accomplishing some goal together, you know? Whether that's like defend the tavern from goblins or find the miller's daughter or, you know, save the owlbear cub or something fairly quickly doable that can sort of pull them together, that in the background of it you can see the machinations of the world, you know? So like if you want to run, so for example, if you want to run like if what is making your game world unique is that it's very high magic and like the Feywild and the material plane just like exist together, then you could tell a story of, you know, any of those stories, but you just make sure, okay, maybe the tavern keeper is a pixie, or maybe the town doesn't have walls, but there are 4 dryads that have groves that kind of encircle the town, and that is how towns in this world protect themselves from the wild. You know, little shit that doesn't necessarily need to be a part of the plot right now, but can make the players go, ooh. And then after you kind of get the ball rolling and get all the players to buy into the game and have the players thinking like, oh, cool, we gonna play more, then you can start pulling on the aspects of the world that you kind of laid out to like draw a plot from. Or an easier way to do that is whatever aspects of the world the players seem to be the most interested in, draw on those to build that larger plot from. But for me, the goal of session 1, really, the goal of session 1 is for all the players to be excited to play with each other. That's kind of it. Like, I don't really even care if they don't do a good job of introducing their characters. Really, the goal of session 1 is, can we get this plane off the ground in a way that the players are excited to go for a fly, you know? What's up, Pixie? How's it going, buddy? Werewolves are really easy mystery monster. Werewolves are really... Kip. Yeah, werewolves make great early game monsters. Another reason why werewolves make really good early game monsters is that they really are not a compelling monster stat block, except for like 1 or 2 elements. And those 1 or 2 elements don't matter after level like 3. And it's the fact that A, they're shapeshifters, so there's an element of like mystery there. But B, in terms of mechanics, they are straight up immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage that's not from silvered weapons. And fighting a monster that has straight up immunity to those basic damage types before your characters understand how to deal with that is really intense and can lead to a lot of creative gameplay about what they need to do to survive, escape, fight it. It could lead to the players learning how werewolves work, or figuring out how to get enough silver to silver their weapons, or to find someone who has silvered weapon. Like, that could be a whole thing. Or it could be if they could just go in a completely other direction, like, oh, we have to kill it with fire or acid, and it could be like, oh, we're gonna trap it. They could get into like a predator mode. You know, there's a lot of ways you can address that conflict. But after like level 4 or 5, I feel like you got a lot of spells. Most people have a magic weapon, so that immunity to non-silvered stuff becomes kind of like boring, or not boring, but like a mechanic that your players literally won't notice is there because they won't have to engage with it. You know, if I have a magic sword, the earlier I give a player a magic sword, the earlier a creature having resistance or immunity to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage is something that goes unnoticed. Sometimes though, it's fun to do things where like not everybody has magic things, but there's magic things they can share. So, like, for example, magical ammunition is an easy thing for that if you got a multiple people with ammo sacks. But also, yeah, I don't know, like a short sword. A short sword. Anybody can use a short sword between level 1 and level 3, and it's going to be fine. If there's one magical short sword throughout the party, maybe you have a magical sword. What if, you know, I could very easily see a situation where you have a magical short sword that doesn't require attunement, but doesn't really do much other than just be a magical sword. And having a fight where, as the players, you're trying to not just fight the monster, but sort of share the weapon, like figuring out how to position yourself or use the action economy so that like you can pass the weapon to the next part, so that like the rogue can give the weapon to the barbarian so that they can use it. I think that would be really interesting. Or to be like, okay, the rogue has the magic sword and they can do sneak attack. So as a barbarian, instead of me trying to fight, my goal is to try to get the monster in a position that gives the player opportunity to get not just sneak attack, but potentially opportunity attacks or things like that. So we can like focus on using that tool. And all of that you can do with a werewolf. But again, you're really not going to do it with a werewolf that often after like level 4 or level 5. So yeah, Kip, I big agree. I big agree. Yeah, Delport. I love the idea of using environments against monsters. I think that's a lot of fun. I think that's one of them also, like, whenever you watch YouTube videos or channels or whatever where people are like, how do I make my combat more compelling, which is a fairly common question, I feel like the answer very often is literally what you just said. I feel like Delport, a lot of the time, most of the time when people say, how do you make combat more compelling, the answer I see 90% of the time is make the environment more dynamic, include the environment more, you know? The other piece of advice that I think is just as good, but not given nearly as often to make combat more compelling, is to make the goal of combat not winning the fight, but some tertiary thing that is, you know, whoever you're fighting is opposed to you doing, and that's why you're fighting. But you're not trying to kill the guy, you just might be trying to kill the guy to get the egg. But the goal is like to break the egg, or to not let the chandelier fall, or to, you know, whatever. Some other goal can lead to weird fighting. Items that are magical only in Moonlight. I think items that are magical during anything that is specifically like seasonal, like you can't guarantee is going to happen over the course of 24 hours. I think they can be very, very good. I think the most important thing with items like that is making sure you're keeping track of them when you put them in your game, more than you need to keep track of kind of like magic items that just do what they do. And I used to do this all the time. You know, if I wish one day I'll have to go through my old documents and find them, but the amount of hecticness I used to put in my magic items was nonsense. It was bananas and it was dingle dongle. And what it led to a lot of the time, especially in circumstances like that, where there was a magic item that only worked under a very specific condition, is that condition would just never come up. And my players would ask about it and I'd always forget. And it's like, oh, fuck. All right. Because you just forget that there's so many of that nonsense out there if you're not paying attention. I use werewolves as the villains of my fantasy Die Hard one-shot. Werewolves can also be really cool villains if you never have them transform into werewolves. And they just look like an NPC, but an NPC that like isn't hurt by swords or guns or stuff. And it's like, why? You know? I think it's a great idea. I don't know if the only reason why I don't like giving items that only work at very specific times is because I worry that I'm going to forget that I gave them out. Were you trying to send a link, Hyperfox? Good luck. I made a hand axe called the Great Axe that only worked if the player said an axe-based pun as they use it. I love items like that too. We don't see a lot of those in our homebrew reviews, but those are some of my favorite items, the ones that do goofy stuff like that. Crying shame. It's okay. A lot of my conditional items, I make plot conditions rather than environmental conditions. What does that mean? A really simple example is a weapon that needs a rare fuel, so the more fuel that player can hunt down, the more often they can use it. Ah, yeah. I like that. It's always weird. See, a conflict that I have as somebody who reviews Homebrew is those sorts of pieces of Homebrew are really hard to balance if I don't know what your game is like, you know? If you have a magic sword that when it uses the magic toad goo, it allows you to cast a 5th level spell of your choice, that might be a reasonable item, or it might not be, depending on how hard it is to get the toad goo, you know? Dude, I will say this. I think the fact that, and I agree with what Living Human just said, is that half the time dungeon masters forget about normal magic items they give their players. I agree with that 100%, but I like it. Because as a dungeon master, if I do a good job of designing my magic items, then I don't need to keep track of them because they will work for my game. And that can lead to circumstances of the players using those magic items in ways that I genuinely will not have expected or would have just at all. And that, for me as a dungeon master, is like some of my favorite time as a dungeon master. And it's not even because I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of my players for being creative. It's not that. It's entirely because it makes it fun. It like puts me on my toes. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I have to think, you know, it's one of those moments where I'm not in control and I'm just sort of on the ride, and playing in that more improvised space is like, you don't get to do it all the time as a dungeon master in a really earnest way. Like, you don't often get genuinely surprised by your game as a dungeon master. We pretend we do for our players. We are like, oh, what a crazy idea you thought of. But we mostly aren't getting surprised by what happens at our table. At least I'm not. So and I don't think you are either, by the way. If you think you are, I think you are hamming it up because it makes it feel more fun. And that's fine, because I do that too. But we all do that. Like, if we're being honest with ourselves, I would say, dungeon masters, let's agree with each other. Yeah, but Gemjar, that doesn't surprise you anymore. Your players are psychopaths. As a dungeon master, you know that. After a couple sessions, you know your players. So they might be crazy and do hectic stuff that are like, oh, I would never have thought of that. But you know that they are going to do that. So even in that, you're kind of still in charge. So when a player introduces something to the game that's like a new mechanic that, for all intents and purposes, to you is just like, here's a new mechanic that I'm putting in the game. It feels like they're just like adding homebrew they made up, but actually it's homebrew that you made up a while ago and forgot about. That's just crazy. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like that it just hits a little different. For me. I also will say that in general, the way my players play in my home games is very action oriented. Like, if our game was a movie, it would be like an 80s action movie. So there is plot and there is a lot of character, but there is not a lot of like deep emotional role play or like nuanced elements of like hectic plot reveals from the characters. You know, it's a lot of like, we are charging through explosions and punching aliens and like saying quirky one-liners and stuff like that. I have not seen Never Stop Blowing Up, but I hear it's very good. Guys, do you want to know what we're doing today? When the game's closest cinematic allegory is Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a good sign people are having fun. Yeah, for sure. It's my vibe. All right, I'll check it out. Never Stop Blowing Up. We doing fun? Yeah. All right, I'll check it out. I see. Everybody's saying it's good. One of my players is a good note taker. Ooh, they've caught me out a few times. I forgot stuff I've said. It's a blessing and a curse, my guy. Do you know what I try to do when my players are good note takers? I have one player that's a really good note taker. I usually ask him to look. What I'll do is, if I don't remember something, instead of me acknowledging that I don't remember it, I will pretend that I need to like get something out of my bag, and I will ask him to look it up to help me. But really, I just don't remember, and I don't even know where I would have it written down, but I know they would. So they think I'm just like organizing my minis or something, but they're just doing the work for me. So I do that sometimes. It doesn't matter if you have access to them. You don't need to let them feel like they're doing you a favor. But also the other side of that is I let my plots get much more vague and open-ended the more I have good note takers, because I find that the more they remember the details, the more they connect the dots. And usually there's enough dots out there that I can, whatever my initial idea was, I can sort of twist them together to sort of take it. So it's like, okay, the things that they're being drawn to, this is how I will spiral them into the things that I was planning. And they end up doing half the planning unintentionally as the note taker. They don't even realize how much power they have. What's up, Rex? Is what in the title? Oh, yeah. What we're doing today? Yes. Exploring Beastlands. So, what we are doing today, friends, I don't know if you know this, but I have a Discord. And in that Discord, it's mostly D&D, homebrew, writing focused, but there's all sorts of nonsense in there. But within that Discord, people that are a part of my, people that are subs on Twitch, members on YouTube, all of that, there's like a little mini enclave. And they regularly get together in little groups to write together. And occasionally, every now and then, they take on big compendium projects where they like actively organize, they make art, they do peer editing, they curate a whole massive compendium, and they just make it for free with everything original, everybody making everything themselves, and it's friggin' amazing. So, today, we are going to be looking at one of those compendiums, the new compendium, and it is called Beastlands. And I know very little about it going in. I know that the vibe is supposed to be, if you want to have more big wild animals and like forest monsters and forest big wilderness hectic vibes is what it is. It's giant dinosaurs and people swinging on vines and, you know, bone helmets and that sort of thing. So, the person who is the main organizer of it, as far as I know, is one of my lovely mods, Baba. They sent me a curated list of a series of pieces in the compendium for us to explore, so that we could just kind of because we're not gonna. Okay, so here's the thing: it's 100 pages long. This is not a small piece of work. There's a lot in here. So, in order to make sure we cover kind of everything and like look at some monsters and some subclasses and everything, I asked them to put together a list of the pieces we should highlight. So that's what I was sent, and that's what we're going to look at. But you, right now, if you want, can get access to the full compendium. The way you do that is very easy. If you are watching on YouTube, it's literally in the video description in a link right there. And if you're watching on Twitch, you do the command Beast. And if you do the command Beast, a little link will pop up. So, while we are not going to look at the whole thing today, if you want to just have access to this document for now and to forever, you can. And beyond that, if you want to sort of look at along with us as we look at it, or look at your own things you want to look at, grab it. I'll also make sure that it's shared. There's this, I don't actually know if this is organized right now. I think it is. I need to do a whole teardown. There's a lot of stuff in my Discord that is not well organized, and I need to change it. But I think we have a section where we share all of these compendiums, and I will make sure that it is there also. So if you don't end up getting the link tonight, or you see this video when it's not live or whatever, you know, you can always find it in the Discord. Cool? Does that sound good to everybody? So that's what we're doing today. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm excited. Is there anything that I need to share about it that I'm not sharing about it before we dive in? I think I covered everything. Talked about the vibe a little bit. Yeah, I think we're good. You're excited? Hi, excited. I'm Cinder. Ba 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 da ba. All right, come on. That was pretty good, right? Zing! Up, 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 up. You got to be careful in these huts, because we come out swinging. Whoa, Cinder, calm down. Keep it cool, man. You don't want to be mean to your audience. Scare them off. They can't take the zings. They don't get the stings. The peer review process for Beastlands was blinded and systematic. Oh, that's cool. So nobody knew whose each other's pieces were. I think that that's probably good. Yeah, I think that's probably good. I think that if you were gonna... Here's what I'll say about that. I think that's actually a very healthy way to do it when the group of writers is changing constantly. But I also think that if ever you guys, whether here in my community or in your own lives, start to form like a little writing group, like if you have like 4 to 10 people that you are like constantly doing projects with, I would say you should try not doing that. Not because there aren't still going to be elements of peer pressure or whatever, but because if you kind of know that these are the people that are going to be perpetually reading your stuff and you're going to be perpetually reading their stuff, you reach a point in the feedback process where you aren't just giving them general feedback anymore. You're giving them feedback based on your understanding of them as a writer. And that is it takes a long time to get to that place with people. But when you do get to that place with people, the type of feedback that you're able to give is way more elevated and much more helpful, much more quickly with your context of them as a creator. So I would say that's a great way to do it when it's random, when it's new people every time, because it, you know, when you guys make these projects and people want to join, they can just become a part of it. So that's very good for that. But if anyone amongst those projects decides that you're like, hey, let's keep doing this, let's form a little pod and try to like write a book together, I would say stop doing that and look at each other in the eyes and be like, I'm gonna learn the way you write, and I'm gonna notice that you use commas a lot, and I'm gonna just kind of take notes of that sometimes. Or I'm gonna notice that you got a lot of crazy ideas, and your best way of writing is when we just talk about it. So maybe instead of, you know, us being like, hey, we're all gonna work privately for an hour and then come back and meet, we'll like hang on a call and write as we talk. You know, I don't know. You learn people's vibes, and you punch them in the heart and they punch you in the heart. And then like slugs, you kind of like do the thing like this, and your tubes touch, and you start to share a circulatory system, and that's where babies come from. So, humans. You know? You knew which piece was Dice's because they had the best art and the best puns. I mean, that's also not bad. Like, that's kind of good feedback to give someone. If you can tell someone's piece by the way they're writing it, that means that their voice is coming out in some way, that they're able to express themselves through the writing in a way that is definitive of them. So if that is something that you ever come across when you're reading someone's work where you're like, oh, this feels like it's your piece, I think it's worthwhile to point out, if possible, what about it does that. Because it can be good for people to... Sometimes people start to develop a voice as a writer and they don't even really notice it. So if you can shine a light on it and be like, hey, I noticed that all of your pieces do this thing and it's awesome. That makes people go like, oh, fuck, okay, cool. Oh, I do. Yeah, I guess that is. And even if it doesn't like directly affect the way they do their projects, because if they're already doing that thing, they're doing it, it can help people like, you know, say it with their chest. Hey, I'm a writer. I got a voice. You know, a lot of people don't say it with their chest enough. You want a good strategy for talking like you talking with confidence, for speaking with confidence, which you should try to do more in general, specifically you. You should pretend before you start to speak, or if you're walking, this is actually good for walking too. Pretend you're wearing a cape. Like, how would you stand if you were wearing a cape? Think about that, and then start saying whatever you're saying. It will tweak you a little bit. Your shoulders kind of go back, your chest kind of comes up. There's like a little that you imagine is happening. You know what I mean? So yeah. Whenever you have to make a big public speech and you're a little afraid, or you just want to sound cool in a room with people, don't say you're wearing a cape. Maybe don't pretend to plume it. That might that might be weird. But in your mind's eye, imagine yourself cloaked. Maybe actually just wear a cape. I mean, some people can do it. I've seen capes before that have worked. Not many. Not many, but a couple. All right. Let's organize the shape of this window. Don't need this thing up. Excuse me. Guys, I'm drinking seltzer tonight, which means the burps are coming. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like them, I feel bad for you. And I will acknowledge that out loud, but I'm not changing myself for you. Love me as I am. How do you form these groups to write? I've been starting to write in a little bit, and would it be cool to share my ideas with other people or hear other people's ideas out? The best way to start a writing group is, honestly, you have to look for other people that want to write. Maybe, I don't know, you know, wherever you are in life, if you're in college or school of any sort still, I'm sure there's other people that like writing. There's probably already even writing clubs at your school. If you are not in school, I would look in, you know, when I lived in Baltimore, I was in a writing group that I joined that was like a thing that you paid, I don't know, like $10 and you got to be a part of it. And it was like a weekly thing. But it was like a community organized thing. But it didn't matter, right? Because it led to me having a writing workshop group that was like reading my work that was anything from like people in their early 20s to people in their like late 60s, which I actually think makes the feedback that you get way more, way better. Like the bigger demographic of people that are giving you feedback, the better the feedback is going to be. So in a weird situation, you want to find, you know, if you're like in a creative writing programs and you have other writers that you're working with that you really love, like if you know other people that like are doing the same stuff as you, it can be very cool to have like an intimate writers groups of people you respect and artists you want to work with. But if you are like, I don't know who to fucking talk to, those more public forum style writing workshops can actually be like super beneficial in terms of that more broad, rougher, polishing that you need as a writer. Like, you want to get that fine-tooth comb at a certain point, but if you are sort of getting into it, you don't need to be getting feedback from the best writers in the world. You just need to be getting feedback from people that are earnestly reading your work and telling you what they think. And a lot of their feedback's not going to be that helpful. But you know what's going to be incredibly helpful every time? Their reaction to your work. They might not do the best job of expressing the feedback that they get, that they think of from their reaction, but people's reaction to your writing is the only thing that matters, actually, in terms of like the process of sharing it. So you don't need to be a brilliant writer to react to writing, you know? So you are going to get amazing feedback from folks just by them sharing literally, you know, like, and it comes off as mean when we do it live a lot of the time, but when you're watching me review Homebrew and I get frustrated as I'm reading it because of the way it's written, like, That's the most important feedback if your goal is being a creative writer. If your goal is game designing, that does, you know, that's part of it. There's other pieces, but that emotional response to your writing is the most important feedback anyone can give you. And you don't need to know anything to have an emotional response to writing. Anyway, welcome to Beastlands. Look at this. Look at this cover art. Like right off the bat, I'm pumped. All right, but I have a little list of all the things we're going to look at. Let me pull that up to the side here so I can just check it when I need to. So this, like I said, is a massive compendium. It's, you know, 100 pages, 99 pages. Lots of art, lots of monsters. I think it's got some subclasses, some spells, some stuff. It's got all sorts of stuff. Let's take a look. First of all, you know, let's just pay respects where respects are due. Wait, let's make this look nice. Do I have everybody? Go away, little thing at the bottom. Okay, anyway, there we go. All right, let's just, you know, pay our respects where they're due. Look at these cool creators that all work together on this thing. Right? Pretty cool. A bunch of artists, game designers, and dingle-dongles all deciding to create something together for the fun of it, for the glory, for the joy. Pretty cool. All right. So here's the table of contents if you just want to get a vibe of what is in it. We're not going to go through all of this. We're going to go through bits and pieces, but there's a bunch of subclasses. There's a bunch of creatures. There's a whole bunch of new player options for species, new backgrounds, new spells. Volcano. Magic items. And I think NPCs. Oh my god, and a rules glossary. There's a rules glossary. I know that's not something you told me to look at, but that's fucking crazy. Let's see. Oh, it's this thing. Is it both of these things? Oh, I love that you have NPCs. Oh, I guess it's just the term Beast of Legend. That's very official of you guys to put in a glossary for your extra terms. That's not a thing I think people think to do. All right. Anyway, it looks pretty cool, right? Art by Kip. Cover art by Kip. I think Kip's here today. Yeah, they are. So, let's see what we're looking at. Okay, these are the pieces that we are going to be going over today. I'll just tell you what they're all called, and then we're going to go through them. We're going to look at a giant T-Rex. We are going to look at something called the Stitcher Artificer, the Taxonomy Wizard, a Velocentaur. Oh, God, a bunch of these names I'm not going to be able to pronounce. They're all dinosaur-y. The Wally, Jungle-born Ranger, some backgrounds, the Untari, a Hoaxhead Python, something called a Carcharodontosaurus. I think that I did a good job pronouncing that, I think. A Gelfin and the Hunting Domain. Those are all the pieces we're going to try to cover today. But again, if you want to look at your own stuff, you know, feel free to just look at whatever you want on your own too. Let's see. First, we're going to try to find the giant T-Rex. I see dinosaurs, but I also see giant beasts. Let's see if it's in giant beasts. We got frost mammoth, giant ants, more giant ants. Oh, we have a whole colony of ants. That's fun. Giant snapping turtles. Oh, I bet it's probably in the dinosaur section. Giant T-Rex. Okay, this is where we're starting. So here's the document again. But we are on page 49 of the document, if you are looking at it on your own. Let's see. The Giant Tyrannosaurus Rex by our dear sweet Baba. Yeah, it's just covered in critters. There's creatures everywhere. King of Kings. The giant Tyrannosaurus Rex strikes terror into the hearts of every mortal beast. This colossal beast fears nothing, and everything it sees is prey. So the normal T-Rex is a CR8 with a little less than 150 hit points. We got in CR15. Big boy. All right, Beast of Legend. It's the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. The giant Tyrannosaurus Rex is so suffused in magic of the Beastlands that spells that typically affect beasts do not affect it. Oh, that's what that's what Beasts of Legend does. Interesting. It cannot be affected by animal friendship, dominate beast, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's clever. Okay, so do you guys see what's happening here? So what's happening is everybody, this is what my guess is. Everybody that made this was like, this is so stupid. We want to make beasts. We don't want to have to make the Beastland book full of monstrosities. But when you make something a beast, it has to be affected by all these specific rules because of druids, basically. And this makes it so you don't have to worry about any of that nonsense, and you can still have crazy monsters, and they can be beasts. Clever. Clever. Also, I like the commitment to the bit of like, fuck you, these are beasts. Okay, multi-attack. Uses its bite, makes one attack with each of their stomps and tail. So a normal T-Rex just has one bite attack and a tail attack. The bite attack, I think, grapples and restrains. I don't remember if the tail attack knocks people back, but they can't attack the same creature with both. That's T-Rexes, basically. So this one is different in that it's biting, it's stomping. Let's see. It bites at everything in a 10-foot cube within 20 feet of it. Oh, its bite is an area of effect attack? That's fucking crazy. Creatures in the area make a DC 22 save. Yeah, that's a lot. On a fail save, they take a bunch of damage. If a large or smaller creature fails their save, they are swallowed. While swallowed, then you have all the swallow mechanics. Cool. Having it make a bite attack that's an AoE to represent it being giant is fucking crazy. I think it's very clever. I like it a lot. It's gonna feel different because it's not an attack roll, and in a lot of ways that makes things feel different. But I think all of the ways that would make it feel different are really gonna actually help to sell the image of this thing as much bigger. It's like, no, this thing's bite attack is an area of effect. It's not biting you. You're too little for it to bite you. You're in the path of its mouth. I like that. Gargantuan. I like that a lot. Okay, let me take a look at the stomp. So wait, let me just remember. It gets one bite and then two stomps. No, one bite and then one stomp and then okay. It uses its bite. And then it can make a stomp and a tail attack. And it can replace either of those with its... Oh, and it can replace its bite with its roar. Okay. So it's getting both of these attacks every turn. And then it's either biting or roaring. Okay. Stomp. Big hit. Creatures on the ground within 15 feet of it have to make a strength save. Oh. That's really... Oh my god, these are fucking clever. Baba, what are we doing? Guys, if you are not... Every single person that's watching this stream right now, across YouTube and Twitch, there are 57 of you. Get this. Take this compendium. There will be a time where your characters need to fight a monster that's CR 15. It might not be for a while. They might be level 8 right now. Like, this might not be a thing that you're using for, like, 5 months. But these are... We talk so much on this channel about making monsters feel like a cinematic moment and how a monster is sort of a monster, but it's also sort of an event depending on the scope of it. And all of these attacks feel like events. Like, this is the AoE, the slamming down of the foot, and then the AoE shockwave. That's fun. That's really fun. Okay, let's take a look at the tail. Does the tail do anything weird too? 50 feet back. That's a lot. I would feel, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to say I'm against it, but a 50-foot knockback is mean. because what a 50-foot knockback means is it's the perfect distance for most characters to need to dash to be able to get back to anything. It's basically, if you're not a rogue or a monk, you're sort of choosing to not be involved for a minute or to use all of your time to get back involved. It's a lot. I'm not against it. I'm just acknowledging it. Let's see. Let's see what Roar does. So Roar will replace Bite. Each creature within 100 feet of the giant T-Rex makes a wisdom save. Why is this one? You don't need to answer. I'm not sure. I'm curious why we have DC. I'm curious where the DC is 22 across the board and 19 here. On a failure, okay, so it's just basic roaring, I think, like Dragon Roar-esque. They make a big roar. Everybody around them makes a save, or they are frightened for 1 minute. They can repeat the save at the end of their turn. Cool. Dude, this is fun. Fun monster, man. Really fun monster. Straight up. Simple. Really, really, really simple. Like, so easy to run. Like, honestly, the only reason I would need to look at this stat block ever when I was running this monster was would just be the precision of the numbers. Like, I would just need to remember if the stomp did 4d10 plus 9 damage or 4d... Like, that's what I would forget. But I read these once, I know exactly how this monster works forever. That's a good sign, I think. I like it a lot. It's a fun one. I think it's cool. Yeah, so, okay. Fucking T-Rex. Let's go. Very cool. Giant T-Rex. I think evasion working against a bite attack is fucking awesome, right? Like, it fits. Because, again, what's the fiction that bite attack is selling? What is the fiction that we're getting across with those mechanics? The fiction is, this isn't a dinosaur biting you. This is like you're trying to swim away from a whale that's just consuming everything, you know? It's a really, really simple and good expression of flavor being uplifted by mechanics. Like, it's so fucking good. Oh my god. It like opposite hurts. What's the opposite of hurting? Whatever the opposite of hurting is, that's what it does. Cool. Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on. We're gonna look at more. We're gonna look at the Stitcher Artificer. Let's see, where's the Stitcher Artificer? Page 4. Artificers are hard to make. I'm very curious what we did here. Oh, the music might jump really loud for a second. I'm sorry. Sorry. All right. Honestly, that giant T-Rex makes a pretty fucking good alternative to the Tarrasque. I don't think it's not as hard to kill from a numbers perspective, but those AoE attacks are really fun. All right, let's take a look at the Stitcher Artificer. Stitchers boldly straddle the fine line between man and beast. They use their arcane sciences to attach animal pieces to themselves and others. The results are dangerous and often grotesque. I also want to just say something here. There's so many people that are scared of making art. This piece, a lot of the art, it looks like it's kind of from different people. There's different elements to it. Some of it's in black and white. Some of it has shading. Some of it's colored in. Some of it looks more like sketches. And it works. the pieces fit together. Like, you don't need to be a friggin' art major to make art for your piece and to have it work. Anyway, sorry. Rant over. Tool proficiencies. You gain proficiency in Weaver's tools. If you already have this, you gain another proficiency. I guess Weaver's tools are the closest thing to, like, sewing in D&D. I don't think there are seamstress tools. I don't know. Okay, what new spells do we get? Jump, Long Strider. Alter Self, Web, Fly, Water Breathing. Black Tentacles, Guardian of Nature, Enervation, Greater Restoration. Okay, so what is the vibe I get here? The vibe I get here is you are playing Dr. Frankenstein with yourself. That's the vibe that I'm getting here. You are Dr. Frankensteining yourself. With a more nature-y vibe. With animal parts, not with other people. Why jump? I think I see both of these as the same sort of goal, which is like they're taking aspects of animals that they're giving you. That's kind of what all of these do, right? So these two are like, these two, this one, are all like ways that animals exist. Alter Self kind of feels like, I don't know, camouflage, like an octopus. And then I would say Guardian of Nature. I don't remember exactly what it does, but I think giving a big nature spell is probably like, even Everard's Black Tentacles kind of feels like that. Even though it's sort of eldritch, it's also like just tentacles, right? I don't remember what Enervation does off the top of my head, so I can't speak to that one. Alter Self isn't polymorph. You're not changing into animals. You're just sort of morphing your body a little bit. Alter Self gives you like animal bits and pieces. All right, let's see what else we get at 3rd level. Let's get into the meat of this pancake. Stitch Up. As an action, you can touch a willing creature and stitch them up, causing the creature to expend a number of hit dice equal to your proficiency bonus. Ooh, interesting. The creature then rolls the expended hit die and regains an amount of hit points equal to the number rolled, plus your intelligence modifier. Oh, interesting. Okay, if it has no hit points remaining, this doesn't do anything. You have to be using Weaver's tools or a healer's kit. I like the option of using a healer's kit. And you get a proficiency bonus times per long rest. Okay, cool. So you get like a weird alternative, like this is like I'm gonna say this isn't like necromancer healing, but this healing is something that I think we see a lot of versions of this when people are trying to do more like blood magic-y stuff. And I think having it tied to your proficiency bonus in terms of how many hit dice get rolled as a way of showing like you getting better at it, I think it's interesting. I think it works. I think it's weird. It doesn't feel, let me rephrase that. It's not weird. It's weird in this context, not in a bad way. But it's one of those features, like, I like this feature. I like it a lot. And I think that if you were to make a feature like this exist in something like a blood magic subclass, it could also work, and it would feel different, even though it would be mechanically very similar. All right, I like it. Stitch Up. So we're heal boys. We're healy boys. We're healy boys. Yeah, Delport, I think you put it well. It's unusually realistic feeling. Yeah. Geostellar, I think that's well put too. It's like martial healing. Yeah. It feels very like biologically grounded. All right. Let's see what the next feature does. Bestial Graft. As an action, you can use your Weaver's tools to graft a part of an animal onto a willing creature you touch. Gross. Great. If you apply a graft to yourself, you gain the benefits of the graft until you replace it with a different one. If you apply the graft to another creature, it gains the benefits of the graft for 1 hour. Okay, that's an interesting balancing mechanic. I think that works. In either case, the recipient can only benefit from one at a time. That's fine. And they can use their action to remove it. Cool. So it's not, you're not being a dick about it. They're not like, fuck you, you got ostracized now. While you are benefiting from your grafts, you can make a weapon attack. When you make a weapon attack, you can use your intelligence. Okay, so if you have a graft, you can use your intelligence to fight with. You know 3 grafts from the graft list, and you learn 2 more of your choice when you reach 9th, and again at 15th. When you finish a long rest, you can exchange one for another. You can use the feature twice. So you basically learn more graphs as you go. But regardless of how many you learn, you're capped at using 2 at a time a day. So you could basically, I'm going to give 1 for myself and have it all day, and 1 for somebody else and they'll have it for an hour, or 2 for somebody for an hour and I'll be chilling for a day. All right, can we see a list? Where are the graphs? Okay. I don't think we're going to read all of them, but we'll definitely read most of them, or at least some of them. We got big old tongue. When the recipient takes the attack action, I would change everything that is... If you were going to edit this anymore, you definitely don't have to, but if you were going to edit this anymore, I would change all of the language of I would change all of the language of you grafting, if you want to, up here. But right now, you see everything that says the recipient and everything is written in the third person. I would rewrite all of this. So I would be like, up here, I would be like, when a creature has the following lists are graphs. When a creature has them, they gain the graphs features. And then write the mechanics of the graphs in second person. I think it'll read better. So instead of it saying when the recipient takes the attack action, saying when you take the attack action. I think if you can get it to being that, it'll actually, I think it'll be shorter and smoother. Okay, sorry. I can't help but be an editor mind. All right, let's just read it though. When the recipient takes the attack action, they can replace one of their attacks with the use of their tongue. So, against a medium or smaller creature they can see within 15 feet of them, okay? When they do, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC, or be pulled to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the recipient. Okay, so the tongue gives you like an alternative attack that you can use as part of your attack action that pulls people in from 15 feet. All right, little grapple hook thing. We get horns. We get an unarmed strike that deal bludgeoning damage or piercing damage. And if you move at least 20 feet in the straight line, you can use it as a bonus action. Okay. We get an ink sac. You can use your reaction to ink people, blinding them. Gross. You have to refill your ink sac? That's very funny. I like that wording. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay. What does that even look like? Is that just you going like flexing and it like refilling? It's like you like pooping it out. Oh god, I know, that's so funny. Okay. We get a little pouch that you can hold, that you can put a creature in. That's weird. You get a tail you can do stuff with. You can deal damage back to creatures. You get a poison stinger. What does the poison stinger do? Poison damage, or you can put some poison on some weapons. A stinky cone. Goose people up. We get a tentacle. Yeah, there's some fun options here. Very, very strange. All right, wait. Let's keep looking at the other features. Extra attack, solid 5th level choice here. Makes sense. This is definitely a fighting, brawly type artificer. Like most of all these features are very combat oriented. At 9th level, we get Quick Stitch. You regain all expended uses of bestial grafting when you finish a short rest. That's fun. Additionally, when you use your Stitch Up feature, you can now use your bestial grafting feature on the target as part of the same action. Oh, that's also cool. So when you heal them, you can give them an ink sac. You want to put your gnome buddy in a pouch? And then at 15th level, you've conditioned your body to welcome your bestial grafts. You can now simultaneously benefit from 3 at a time. This is a very weird subclass. It's fun. I like it. Gross. It's very gross feeling. It's somehow gross feeling without actually being that gross. All of the grossness is sort of implied. Very fun. Very fun. The Stitcher. Very cool. Hey, Redmer. Champion. Do you hear how well I timed that with the ending of the song? I'm a champion of champions. Hey, you feel like you implied grossness is your brand? That's a great brand. It could also be reflavored as a bunch of other things. Yeah, I mean, I also think, I know we didn't deep dive all of the features, but what is cool about them, with the grafts specifically, is they all feel reasonable while also kind of fun. Like, none of them are boring, and none of them make you go like, what the fuck? They're all just like pretty good and pretty cool. Anyway, feels fun, feels good. High five. Go team. Again, if you're just getting here and you want to get a copy of this whole compendium, it's totally free. The link is in YouTube in the video description, and on Twitch, you just do Command Beast, and it'll pop up for you. All right, next we're going to look at the Taxonomy Wizard by our dear Gemjar. Let's see, where is the Taxonomy Wizard? 33. Who just did something nice? Who was that? Adon! 20 years. 40K stream painting when? Donnelly, did I tell you that I'm working on a Warhammer 40K video? Like, that's the long form video I'm working on. Like, when I'm done stream tonight, I'm going to go back to working on it. The goal of the video is going to be, let's make a video where I have 2 goals for the video, for my Warhammer video. Hopefully it'll come out this week. The 2 goals for it are, 1, that it is going to talk about Warhammer in a way that is fun for people that know a lot about Warhammer and don't know a lot about Warhammer without being a deep dive, because I'm not gonna do hectic deep dives. Like, let's just like get excited about Warhammer ideas and like sort of talk about why it's exciting. But then 2, talk about that through the lens of this idea that what Warhammer is, when you boil it down, whether or not you like the specifics of it, is taking the imagination silly ideas of like 8 to 14-year-olds and not judging those ideas, but instead saying, hey, let's embrace these ideas and then back them with 20 years of artists and game designers and writers. And then you get something like Warhammer, where it's like, you never say silly and ridiculous is not seen as silly and ridiculous. It's taken seriously. And when you have an art project where silly and ridiculous is taken seriously, you can find some really cool stuff in that. Anyway, that's going to be kind of what the video is going to be about. But it's also just going to be talking about all the fun things I like in Warhammer. Anyway, let's take a look at this wizard. No, not the Ground Weaver. We're taking a look at the School of Taxomancy. Taxonomy. So far, I filmed the intro, and I've filmed the history so far. And I think I have to make the history section shorter. It's like a minute and a half of me explaining everything that happens up to 40K, like in the 40,000 years. And I even think even it being a minute is too long. I think I need to be even briefer and less detailed. So I have to maybe refilm that part. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. This is the Wizard of Taxonomy. You want to run a prequel to Warhammer, all the lead up? That could be cool. If I was going to play a game with Warhammer stuff, I don't know what I would do. Because I feel like I like the stories, but I don't know if I would like to, like, be in them. I don't know how much fun I would have playing a game in those stories. I think I would maybe not like it. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Wait, the music. Music, come back. Music. Oh, music. All right. Wizards that follow the tradition of taxonomy are driven by the desire to neatly categorize the creatures of the natural world. These researchers dedicate their lives to the study of beasts and magical creatures alike, and can find no greater joy than discovering a previously unknown species. A taxonomer may use their repository of knowledge to help protect the creatures they study, or control the battlefield in combat against them. All right, let's take a look. At second level, looks like we get 2 features, Field Researcher and Arcane Bestiary. I like the names so far quite a lot. When you take this subclass at second level, you gain proficiency in Survival. You gain proficiency in something else if you already have it. In addition, you can use Intelligence in place of Wisdom. Great, simple, easy, flavorful, boom, solid, really solid, really solid, really solid, really solid little feature there. I like it. If I was going to make any other suggestions, I would also, I would just throw animal handling in there too. But I don't even think you need to. I think that's good. Okay, or nature, one of the two. No, nature already is intelligence, never mind. Arcane Bestiary. At second level, you dedicate a section of your spell book to recording your research. Whenever a creature fails a saving throw against a wizard spell you cast, the individual is recorded in your spell book. Interesting. You learn that creature's type and have advantage on ability checks made to track or recall information about it. Ooh! In addition, for the next minute, whenever the creature targets you or a creature within 30 feet of you with an attack, you can use your reaction to subtract 1d6 from the attack roll. If you record a creature under the effects of a feature... Let me say that again. If you record a creature under the effects of a feature that temporarily changes its type, such as polymorph, you don't learn the creature. You learn the creature's true type. Okay. Once you record a creature with this feature... I don't think that was on purpose, but that's a funny line. Once you record a creature with this feature, you cannot record them again for 24 hours. Interesting. This is fun. Very powerful, but fun. I like the idea that if a creature like succumbs to your magic, you become good at tracking it. I like that a lot. That's very fun. You found your IRL subclass minus the survival? Cool. Very cool. All right, let's see what we get at 6th level. At 6th level, as a bonus action, you can compare one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you to a creature that you have recorded in your book. The DM tells you if the creature is equal, superior, or inferior to the recorded creature in regard to one of the following characteristics of your choice. Challenge rating, maximum hit points, or one of the creature's ability scores. Ooh! So it's almost like a alternative to the Battle Masters thing that they get at 7th level, but specifically for monsters as opposed to warriors. Cool. Cool. Yeah, makes sense. How many times can we do it? So we can do it once a day or for a 2nd level spell. Cool. I like that. That's a fun 6th level feature. This is also, I do want to point out, you have a queue here. No, that's not what I wanted to point out. I think this feature works a lot better than the Battle Masters one, because the Battle Master one is like a little bit weird. Like you have to watch them for a minute, and there's a lot of precision that gets involved. It gets a little too meta almost. This one, it only is a bonus action, so it's really fast in combat, but the only barometer you have is entirely based on you. Like as a player, you have to pick the right monster in your thing to judge that off of to get a good read, and then the right thing. Like, so for example, like if you see like a purple worm for the first time, you would want to pick a monster to base it off of, and you're trying to find its maximum hit points. You would want to pick a monster that was a really big, beefy monster to do that, to get a more accurate read. Like that type of little psychological mini game that you're playing as a player, I think is very, very fun. That's the same sort of thinking, that's the same sort of meta meeting mechanics that I really like, where as a player, you're like trying to figure out what saving throws a monster might not be strong in, or things like that. Like, you know, like a big scary monster's probably got big strength. Like going, that conclusion is good. Doing things that support those sorts of thinking, I think, is good. Goddamn Q. Hey man, it's fine. We all got a little Q in us every now and then. Let's see what we get at 10th level. Legacy of... God damn it. I knew there were going to be so many words I didn't know how to pronounce. How do we pronounce this? Linnaeus? Lennius? Lenache. I'm going to just pronounce it exactly, I think, the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Legacy of Linnaeus. At 10th level, your critical eye allows you to gain the upper hand against creatures you fight. When you record a creature in your spellbook, you also learn any resistances, vulnerabilities, or immunities the creature has. Okay, so it's like a development of Arcane Beastry. In addition, when you deal damage with a spell to a creature, you can choose to bypass their natural defenses. What does that mean? I guess we'll find out right now. If a creature has resistance to any damage types dealt by the spell, you can ignore it when determining how much damage. Ooh, you can ignore resistance. That's very strong. You can ignore resistance this way 3 times. There you go. You knew that was very strong. And you regain all uses when you finish a short or long rest. That's fun. Logical growth of this feature. The ability to ignore damage resistances is very strong, but I think there's definitely places for it. And I like the idea where it sits here, where it's sort of like, it's not even necessarily that like your magic is so good that it can bypass their defenses. It's just that like you understand their anatomy enough to like engage with it in a way that makes it so their defenses aren't working the way they normally would. You know, like, for example, what immediately comes into my head is like, if you're fighting, like if this was real life and you were fighting like a giant snapping turtle monster, knowing that it would be advantageous to try to like not hit it in the front of its head, because the front of its head is like very defended, but like the sides of its head, you know, like little things like that, where it's like, you might not know that or think about that if, you know, I don't know. Like, I think that's cool. I like it. Okay, let's look at 14th level. Don't hit turtles. Turtles are great. That was a bad example. As I was giving that example, I was like, I don't want to describe fighting turtles. I love turtles. Academic authority. At 14th level, when you classify a creature using your 6th level feature, for the next minute, that creature cannot have advantage on attack rolls against you. Ooh. And whenever that creature forces you to make a saving throw, you can add your intelligence modifier to the roll. That's very strong. How often can we do this feature? Oh, it's not that often. I like that. Yeah, this is fun. This is a really fun subclass. I think that, so I really, really like that what's happening here is almost every single power we get is a mechanical expression of the very specific flavor of, you know a lot about monsters. And you've extrapolated on ways that we could like turn that into mechanics in a bunch of different ways, but it all really feels like it ties back to that core of like, I am a monster expert. And that, I will say, is, I think, a character idea, a power fantasy idea that a lot of people have, and a lot of people try to fit into things. I think this would be fun. I think a lot of people would really like this one. It's fun. It's cool. Wizard of Taxonomy. Very cool. Alrighty, what are we looking at next? Next, we're going to be looking at something called a Velocentaur. Is that a player species or a monster? People that have made this. A Velocentaur. 78 species. Also, guys, like I said before, and I'll say again, you can get this whole compendium right now. It's in the video link in the YouTube, or just do the command beast in the Twitch chat, or if you're in my Discord, it's gonna be up there, and we'll share it in like the area where we share all these compendiums there. So totally free. This was made by our community. A group of community members got together. They worked on this thing for a long time. They made art. They peer edited, peer reviewed. They got it looking nice and clean and sharp and polished. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's as close to a professional compendium that you can get. Genuinely, the only thing that separates this from the types of things that you see get Kickstarter made and published is that people are paying money for those, and these guys made this one for free. But this is, like, I will say, I skimmed it very briefly before I started stream. I didn't deep dive that much, but from what I skimmed beforehand, and as we are exploring it now, this is worth it. Like, I don't know how many of you are thinking about using big, scary beast or jungle-y or nature-y or monster-y focused things in your games moving forward, but I think that this is a really good compendium to have in the back pocket, straight up. Like whether or not you were going to use it for your next campaign or your next session or whatever, definitely worth taking some time and exploring. Okay. Velocentaur. Oh my god, I love the art. Ew, why does he have extra arms? Why does it makes him look like so much more of an insect? Look at it. I love him. Oh my god, I love him. I really like him. Okay. This is made by Kip. You wouldn't think it possible to combine half a human being and half a velociraptor, yet somehow life finds a way. Fuck you. Get fucked. Oh my god. Okay, wait, let's read a little bit of the flavor text. Mutated, excuse me, mutated by the magic of the Beastlands, velocentaurs resemble humans from the waist up. From the waist down, they resemble dinosaurs. Acting as natural camouflage, their scale color varies from dark to mossy browns to deep forest greens. Although they have extra set of clawed hands, they're unable to manipulate objects easily. They often charge at creatures more formidable than themselves, propelled by their two powerful back legs. These fierce hunters can live in small groups at any level of the Beastlands, adapted to hunt prey much larger than their size. They are carnivorous, but sometimes incorporate wild plants into their diets as food and medicine. Cool. Solid flavor text. I'm going to be honest. If I was reading this not on the show, I wouldn't read all of it. But not because it's not well written, but because I read mechanics first always. I can't help it. I don't know why. I just very rarely do I see flavor text that I'm like, I want to keep reading it. It has nothing to do with the quality of it. It has everything to do with me wanting to get to the meat. Okay, let's see what this thing gets. We are humanoid. We are medium. We have a walking speed of 35 feet, so we're quickie. We're quick little guys. Well, we're quick medium guys. If you move, I like the fact that they're medium, but they're made of like two small creatures. You know, like it sort of looks like a halfling on top of some, because velociraptors are also little. But two kind of small creatures mushed into a centaur totally does make a medium creature. We got some languages. Charge. If you move at least 30 feet in a straight line, 30 feet's a lot, and hit a creature with a melee attack on the same turn, you can immediately follow that attack up with a bonus action, making one attack against the target with your claws. Ooh, that's pretty strong. Okay, that's probably why you put that at 30 feet. All right, so if you run up to somebody and attack them, you can attack them again. We're going to look at the claws in 1 second. Let's look at Behemoth Bane first. You are well suited for taking down larger creatures. As a reaction, when you miss an attack against a creature who is larger than you, or mounted on top of another creature, I think you can actually just say mounted. I don't actually know. Don't quote me there. You can re-roll the attack. Ooh, that's pretty cool. It's like an alternative of Fury of the Small. And you can do it proficiency bonus times per day. Good balance. Okay, let's see what the claws do. Are they just regular claws? You have a lower set of hands. Just got some little hands, and the sharp claws that you can use to make unarmed strikes. When you hit with them, the strikes deal 1d4 plus your strength modifier damage. Cool. So they're just a little bit better than regular claws. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's fun. I think he's a fun little guy. Fun little guy. It really does feel like. And I don't know if this was your intention, so, you know, if it wasn't, I'm not trying to put it in a box. But it does sort of feel like almost like an alternative version of a goblin. Like if goblins are, you know, they're like nimble and they're like good at punching you in the belly, in the very specific part of the gut. These things, they're more like ferocious than nimble in the way that they're expressed. But it even though it's not small, it has a similar kind of vibe. I like it. Very fun. Dude, the art is so good. It's a goblin if a goblin was a horse. Yeah. It is like a goblin if a goblin was a horse. I really like it. I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. All right. And also very usable, like immediately. I understand that this is Beastland, but I think pretty much everything we looked at so far, I think would fit into any D&D game. Yeah, dude, this is really fun. I really like it. And the art, the art also kind of makes them look adorable and like maybe a little bit like not laissez-faire, but like goofy or dingy, like a little bit like a dingle dongle. But the mechanics make them fucking ferocious. Like if you look at the features they get, every single feature they get is about attacking, which to me implies they attack a lot. So it's very funny, I think, to have a guy with a little bit of derp who's also the most vicious guy in the room. Like, vicious plus derp is a weird combo, and it's so weird that it kind of makes both of them uplifted. You know, like the derpy seems less silly, the derpy seems more honest and less silly, and the vicious seems a little bit more startling. You know? That's kind of my dream. I feel like that's my goal for characters a lot of the time, is two profoundly different feelings mushed together. This one could do that well. Kobolds are kind of like that in this way too. All right, next we're going to be looking at a piece, from someone who I haven't seen in a while, and I hope they're doing well. We have a creator in our community we have several creators from our community who are from Europe. And sometimes I remember some of them more than others. I try to remember all of you. But this guy's got the craziest name this side of the Mississippi. I don't actually know if it's crazy, but I don't know how to pronounce it in English. But I've decided I'm going to pronounce it in a way that I imagine is sort of like an Elvish pronunciation. And that is our dear friend Kelka Andutre. And they've made something called the Wali. Now, I don't know if that's a monster or a player option, so we gotta scroll the top, see if we find it. The Wali. Oh, it's another player option. Page 79. Oh, yeah, if any of you are... I see Bob is here. Anybody that knows what things are, please direct me if I'm getting lost. I'm just because, you know, I haven't looked at this that much before. I also feel like that feeling of, like, they're goofy and then horribly violent is also... maybe part of why I love the orcs in Warhammer. Because that's the orcs in Warhammer. Is that they're the goofiest guys in the room, but they're also genuinely terrifying and violent. I think whenever I talk about orcs, people feel like I don't respect how violent they are, but it's like, I do. It's just more fun to talk about how they're goofy. I've never used Control F before. I'm not a big... The problem with my Control key is that it's connected to my ethereal... It basically... You know how, like... If any of you have ever lived in another country, sometimes you'll have your keyboard set up so that you can hit a button and it changes it to be typing in another language. And that's what I did with mine. And if I type in that during stream, it's just not worth it. It wouldn't be good. I'd rather everybody just have a good time and not have, like, you know, hectic, life-changing stuff happen. Okay, let's see. The Walela. Walela are avian people native to Krigala. They live in treehouses with dense jungles where flowers are taller than grown men. Cuisine is an essential part of their culture as they eat during most of the day. So they're just, like, chilling... eating, living in the jungle? Hell yeah. Their culinary specialties are sweets and drinks. That makes so much sense. Made from nectar from flowers. Yeah. Makes sense. They look like hummingbird people. Physically, they're small but slender humanoids with long beaks and colorful feathers. Their legs resemble those of a hummingbird, called it. And they have similar arms. On their backs... a feathered tail, small but nimble wings allow them to make full range of movements in the air, even upside down. Yeah, so we got hummingbird people. Fuck yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about the mechanics. I really, really, really like the detail of hummingbird people really liking making sweets. And, like, just having, like, 2 sentences about how they just spend all their time making sweets, chilling in the jungle, does a lot. That does it's just 2 sentences, but this does a lot of weightlifting in terms of selling the concept of this, because whenever you make something that's kind of like whenever you make something that there are many things that are sort of similar to it out there, like a bird person, for example, one of the first things that you're going to contend with, whether you're realizing it or not, is what makes it unique amongst the other bird people. So one of the best ways to sort of guarantee that your thing is going to be unique is to make sure one of the key aspects of it is something that really is not at all inherently connected to birds. Because there's a million ways you can creatively interpret bird mechanics, but there's a million creators, and the likelihood that the thing you're going to be doing is totally unique is not low, but it's much higher if you are making your piece unique by adding in a semi-unexpected element and then figuring out how to make that element make sense. And in this case, it's adding the idea that these guys are really into cuisine, but because they're hummingbird people, it's not any cuisine. It's like sugary, it's like candy and like sweet drinks. So very cool. I'm a big fan. We're humanoid. We live ages. We're little. We have a walking speed of 30 feet. No fly speed. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We can speed and write things. We can speed and write things. We can speak and write things. Let's see. To accommodate your energy needs, you need 2 times the amount of food to subsist compared to humans of similar age. This, to me, is a ribbon feature. If I was a dungeon master, I probably would never punish someone for this unless they were a type of player that like really liked this aspect of their character. What I would see this as if I was playing one of these is this, to me, says role play how much you eat, which I really like. Because it also doesn't have a downside. And I'm sure you could be like, well, actually, the player's handbook says that if you don't get enough rations in a day, here's the downside. And sure. But I like it. I think it's good. I think it reads good like that. Okay. We get flight. Let's see how this flight works. Flight. Because of your wings, you have a fly speed equal to your walking speed. You can't use this fly speed if you're wearing medium or heavy armor. You can stay aloft using this. You can stay aloft using this feature without needing to spend movement for it on your turn, as long as your movement speed isn't reduced to 0. Cool. So I think that is mechanically expressing basically you can hover. So we actually get a 30-foot walk speed, 30-foot fly speed. I don't know if we need the language hover. Maybe we do. I'm not sure. Honestly, you guys have been in the weeds of this stuff more than I have, so I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if there is some gameplay interaction that this allows for that I'm not thinking about. And this basically doesn't make it OP. Let's see. Because if your movement speed is reduced to 0, you should fall. I think that's good. Because hover is too much? Yeah. Totally makes sense. Okay, let's see what agile wings are. While you are flying using your wings, attacks of opportunity made against you have disadvantage. That's strong. You have, yeah, I don't have any feelings about that other than that's strong. I think, though, a good comparison, if you're trying to think about power balancing this guy, would be like the fairy. And if we're looking at a fairy compared to these things, a fairy doesn't have this, but they have innate spellcasting with like really good spells. So I think it works. And let's see, traditional cuisine. You have proficiency with cooking utensils, and you had double your. Okay, we're an expert cook. Okay, yeah. So really, the only powers we get are these two. Everything else is flavor and like makes your character more interesting. This is flavor and makes your character more interesting. And yes, I accepted it as a downside, but I actually don't think it's a downside. I just think it's interesting. Yeah, I would just be excited to have this. And then this is a very, very ribbon bonus. I like this a lot. I think it's simple, guys. Like, what is it? What are you gonna be to be a hummingbird guy that likes cooking? You're really good at cooking. You got to eat a lot of food, and you're a quick little fly guy. Oh. We note the unicorn frog. We note the unicorn frog. Behold, the unicorn frog. We can't not note the unicorn frog. I like this a lot, dude. Kelkaan, I miss you. It's been a while since I've seen you on stream. I hope you're doing well. I know I haven't been streaming as late, which probably means, or maybe I haven't been streaming as early. I don't know how time works, but anyway, you're great. Go team. Really fun species. Also great art. I think, yeah, man, Kip is fucking killing it. Kip, I don't know if you have any interest in like ever making like a web comic on your own. Like I'm not saying for me, but like if you are like, I like the idea of like doing a web comic, this style I think would work very well. If you want any peer pressure. That's me peer pressuring you. Kip does a webcomic? Oh, Kip, what's the... Kip, are you in my... Kip, can you DM it to me on Discord? And then tell me in the chat once you've done it. If you have like a website or something. Yeah. Send me the link, or send me the link. You don't have a way. So all right. Well, if there's a website, if there's a place to see them online, share it with me, and I'll share it with everybody. But no worries if not. You're starting one up soon. All right. Well, hey, I'll say this publicly to you. Nobody else to get any ideas. If you want to talk about the process of starting to become somebody that puts things online, or any of those sorts of things, you can DM me about that. I am happy to have that conversation. Yeah. I don't normally love getting random DMs, but I do not mind getting them if I solicit you for them. Okay, let's look at the next piece we're going to look at. Is from our dear Spag, and it's going to be the Jungleborn Ranger. All right, let's get it. Let's see where it is. Jungleborn Ranger is on 22. That doesn't surprise me. That our dear Spag did a lot of work for this thing. They're pretty consistent, and like they're a little bit of a workhorse of a designer. Oh, I don't need to keep putting the link in the chat. You guys all have it already. You DM'd me your Imager comics. Oh, it went to spam. All right, I'll accept that. Oh, because it thought it was spam because it was an Imager link. Ooh, yeah. Listen, dude, you gotta start making some comics, my guy. Yeah, look at you. You're already fucking doing it. All right, we'll go down that rabbit hole later. Let's look at some more homebrew, but. You guys should check that shit out. Or Kip, you should start making a webcomic that you want to promote, and I'll help you promote it. Okay, Ranger, Jungleborn. Jungleborn Rangers are often brought up and cared for by local animals. Oh, so we're like Mowgli? We're raised by wolves? Forcing them to adapt to the ways of wild to survive. They attune to plants and animals of their home. That's a really interesting take on... I like that take for, how do I make a ranger that's jungle themed? Because rangers are like... That's just being a rangery ranger. It's like, well, no, not if it's like specifically not. If this is the specific fiction, that immediately makes it stand out. It's cool. They're known for their primal and uncivilized behaviors, for their primal magic, which allows them to treat any terrain as their own personal jungle. Cool. All right, let's take a look what we get for spells. Animal friendship, summon beast, haste, freedom of movement, tree stride. Really fun spell list. I like it. Oh yeah, I can share the link to Kip's webcomic. It is here. Kip, I'm sharing this. Are you cool with that? Actually, let me make Kip answer me first before I just assume that they're cool with that. But if you answer, say, yeah, I'm cool with that, Kip, I'll share it. Okay. I think this spell list is good. I think it's a lot. I think it's fun. Let's see what we get at third level. At third level, we get Lean Muscle and Jungle Fury. Chill? Okay, cool. There you go. Give her a gander if you want. What should you do if you can't find good spells for the list? Ask folks for help. Ask folks for advice on what spells might be good. Or if some of the concepts that you are trying to get across for your subclass fit in some spells better than others, the things that don't fit into a spell, that's what you make the abilities, you know? I don't think you should write spell. I mean, you can write spells. That's true too. But if you are writing a spell solely for the purpose of putting it as a subclass feature for a subclass, like if you're making a spell only so you can put it in the class's spell list, I would push back to you and say, why don't you just make that a class feature then? Because it's like, why take the extra step of making it a spell? right, let's see what happens with lean muscle. Surviving in the jungle has forced you to hone your physical prowess, such that you can wrestle with powerful beasts and climb trees with ease. You gain proficiency with the athletics skill. If you already have it, you gain proficiency with some other skill. Furthermore, you can use dexterity modifier in place of your strength modifier when making strength checks. Ooh! So you can use dex for athletics, for grappling, for contested, a lot of stuff. Cool. Simple. Really strong. Honestly, exactly the level of strength that you want to see, I think, in one of your ranger subclass features at 3rd level. All right, let's see what we get. Let's see what else we get. Jungle Fury. Dex, yeah, for strength checks, but still not strength saving throws or strength attack rolls. Okay, Jungle Fury. Once per turn. Oh, we're keeping it simple. I like that. When you hit a creature with an attack, you can channel your primal aggression into one of the following effects. Deals extra damage. You have advantage on your next ability check made to grapple or shove them. Your speed increases by 10 feet until the end of your turn. Man, I love a simple feature. We don't see these enough. One of the hard parts of making a ranger is making this 3rd level feature and making it feel like it should exist in a way that's sort of like unique, but still do all the things. You are going in the general direction of like the Swarm Keeper here, which I think is one of the best ones, where it's like, we're keeping it fucking simple. You're doing a little extra damage, or you're getting one of these weird little things you can do. And by making it an option, it sort of power balances it against it always being damage, because there's these other things, so sometimes it's not going to be as much damage. But you're doing, you know, this combines with this very nicely. And I think it feels different enough from the Swarm Keeper. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. It's like if a druid was a ranger. Kinda, yeah. I guess, a little bit. I think it's more like, honestly, it really feels like what they said is the flavor. Like, it feels like if somebody was raised by wild animals. Everything is about being really athletic and like wrestling and fighting and being quick. I don't know. It's very, but in a very like animalistic way. See ya, Spiper. Have a good one. Vine Swing at level 7. Ooh, I have a new spider. You guys can't see him. He looks little. He looks like baby spider. Okay. As a bonus action, you can create a spectral vine. Oh my god, are we George of the Jungle right now? As a bonus action, you can create a spectral vine which emerges from above you and reaches down into your hand. The vine has a range of 30 feet from your current position, and you can use it to swing through the air to any unoccupied space within range without provoking opportunity attacks. Oh, weird. The vine then disappears. You know what's interesting? This is actually very similar to the thing that we looked at that Flareware made the other day, that Dragoon that jumped. You know, 30 feet moving without opportunity attack. I like it. Little vine swing is fun. All right, let's keep going. If you are in an environment with hanging vine-like features, such as thick jungle or a ship with appropriate rigging, you can instead swing from existing features, and the feature's range is 60 feet. And you can do this proficiency bonus times per day. I like this a lot. I want to suggest something. I don't know how I would add it, but I feel like it would be reasonable to also make it you can go longer if you are doing it like off a cliff. Like if you are going from a very high area to an area where there is like a big elevation drop, I feel like there could be a logic to that also extending the reach of it. It's very Spider-Man feeling. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's very fun. It's honestly, it's just a movement ability, right? It's not that different than Misty Step. It's different than Misty Step. This makes it different. Also, the fact that I don't think it's technically magic in the same way. It's not costing spell slots. It's, you know, there's a lot of ways that it's different. But it's a little bit of extra movement, which I think fits. All right, let's look at what else we get. At 11th level, we get Complex Swing. When you use your Vine feature, you can swing through the air in a complex arc before landing and can interact with creatures on your path. The Vine can now... Can you, like, swing around and grab people? Is that where we're going? The Vine now lasts until the end of your turn or until you move out of its range. And while it exists, you can continuously swing anywhere in its range without expending movement. That's crazy. Does that just mean you have infinite movement inside of it? That's a little hectic. If you take the attack action while swinging in this way, you can make one additional attack, but cannot use it to make a weapon attack against the target you have already hit this turn. So you can like swing around hitting a bunch of people. I think that's fun. I don't know if I would express it as not expending any movement, because that also, I think, has the secondary effect of you literally have an infinite movement speed so long as you stay within 30 feet. And I don't actually know if that's something that feels reasonable. But I like the core concept, and I think overall it's very fun. I like the image of you bouncing around hitting a bunch of people. All right. I like it. I wonder if this would allow you to bounce around and grapple people and swing them around with you. I'm not sure. All right, let's take a look at Jungle Champion. Starting at the start of your turn, you can beat your chest and unleash your primal nature. No action required. You gain the following benefits until the start of your next turn. You are immune to the frightened condition. Each time you take damage, you can reduce it by an amount equal to your wisdom modifier. And you can use your Jungle Fury on each of your attacks, not just once per turn. I don't remember what that is. That's this. Okay, cool. And you can use this feature proficiency bonus times per long rest. So we get like a weird alternative rage. Cool. I think it's fun. I like it. I think it's fun. I like it a lot. We're just a crazy jungle man. I think it works well. Who is this by? Spag. Very cool. All right, applause for the ranger. Excuse me. With the new grappler rules, that would make for an insta-kill with spike growth. I think, like I said, I think there's something about the infinite movement speed element that can be tweaked. But I think overall it's a very cool feature. Alrighty, let's see what else we're looking at. Ooh, we're going a little bit of a different direction. Now we're going to be looking at some backgrounds that were created by our wonderful Steph Bowen. Where is Steph? Oh, I'm not looking. I shouldn't look for your name. I should look for backgrounds. Where are backgrounds? 80. Ooh, we got some backgrounds. Let's see. It's the best of lands and the worst of lands. It can be magical and wondrous, merciless and violent, or anything in between. It's the Beastlands. This is a side note, but Steph had the best fucking feedback on pieces. Dude, Steph is a very, very good feedbacker. She's pretty cool. Most of the writing that she does ends up being a lot more, like, I guess narrative or, like, story focused. I think that's just the way that her design brain works, which makes sense for her making backgrounds here. But yeah, she's insightful. I also think that there are people in my community, and Steph is one of them, that are really not ever full of like rage and vitriol in the way that I sometimes get during stream, but they also for whatever reason decide to put up with it, even though I think that if it's probably not the way that they would ever want somebody to be in real life around them. And those people are often the people that give the best feedback, the people that will never go, what the fuck am I looking at? But they don't think I'm a bad person when I do that. They accept that it's a part of the show. Those are the best people. Some people do think I'm a bad person when I do that. I'm trying to do it less. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's not get into my many flaws. Let's look at some of these backgrounds that Steph made. Well, let's read this blurb here first. The plane is divided into 3 levels: Krigala at the top, Brux in the middle, and Karasutha. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna botch these. And Karasuthra at the bottom. Each level differs in daylight, with one deity dominating each. Elana, the goddess of forests and woodlands, representing the most peaceful incarnation of nature, found in the eternal noonday sun of Krigala. Skerrit, the centaur god, skulks around Brux's middle layer. Eternal twilight shrouds this level. He often plays peacekeeper between Elana on the level above and Obad High below. Below this level, Obad High represents nature in its harshest aspects, traditionally associated with the Outlands. He now lurks in the moonlit darkness of the lowest levels in Karasuthra. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I did not know we were gonna get like actual like setting world building here. I thought you guys were kind of just... That's very cool. I like that a lot. Travelers should beware of transitioning any level, as portals abound from one to another, making incursions between factions frequent and vicious. Dude, it would be a bummer to accidentally switch levels. They sound very different. Do you know what I mean? You're gardening right now? Fuck yeah. I am somebody that probably will never garden unless I have other people that I'm gardening with. I don't think it's never an activity I would think to do on my own, but I do appreciate a good garden. My backyard is overgrown wilderness, which during the day looks like chaos, but I actually much prefer it at night. It's very nice to sit in and sort of just feel like you're in the thicket. But I understand that during the day it's less. It's just like, what are you doing in your backyard? Okay, Unicorn Foundling. Wait, let's just see what they all are. We get Unicorn Foundling, Skerrit Skulker, Weathered Warrior. Okay, let's look at Unicorn Foundling. Also, Unicorn Foundling by title alone is my favorite because I'm like, what the fuck are you about to show us? You dreamt of the grove of unicorns before you ever laid eyes upon it. You bolted at breakneck speed from something or someone, called to the tall cathedral-like, another word I'm not going to pronounce well, sequoias, I can know that one, as light filtered through trees. Perhaps you were born here or lost as a child. Either way, you were raised in a sacred forest kingdom of the goddess Elona. Elona welcomes guests, but forbids harming any creatures in her forest. Ah, very unicorny. Here the lion lies down with the lamb and never asks for mint jelly. Oh, man. You are good, Steph. I don't know if I've always felt... I don't know if I felt this way about all of your writing, although I think a lot of the writing that I've seen of yours has been like magic items that you've worked on, like to be used in games. But you do a really good job of writing it in a way that is very formal, in a way that that I think you would want this type of writing to be, but injecting these little bits of color and like playfulness, or not necessarily even playfulness, just informality. And it works well, like this. Like, there's a good sentence of that. Okay. And also this quote. Okay. What do we get? We get some skills. We get some languages. I'm going to be honest. The things that I'm the most curious about are the equipment, which maybe is silly, but that's how that's what I always think is the most interesting part of backgrounds. What do we get for our equipment? We get a lot of languages. Traveler's clothes, pen, vegetable dye ink, mushroom-based leather notebook. Ah, we're a simple forest man. What do we get for features? You know the secret of unicorn magic. You gain magic initiative feat. Oh, okay. So is this the thing where backgrounds are giving us feats? I wonder if we're going to see that across the board. It's weird how much giving you these 3 languages sells a vibe, isn't it? That's a crazy heavy vibe when you mush these 3 together. I mean, the vibe is unicorn. You develop a compulsion to hand out leaflets on veganism. You grow white hair and develop hooves. Oh, good reference to another piece in the thing. You sprout a tuft-like tail. You grow luscious unicorn mane. You start swearing in celestial. This is maybe the best one. You realize the real magic is the friends you made along the way. Oh, that hurts to read. Steph, don't hurt me. All right. Let's take a look at another one. Let's look at Skerrit Skulker. You are a hunter. So this is going to be the opposite, is going to be my guess. You are the opposite. No, not. See, my brain is telling me what I think it's supposed to say. You are the hunter in the shadows. As a follower of the centaur god Scarret, you learned to shift in and out of the mists here in the Middle Brooks, caught between Elona and Obad High below. Oh, I guess you're not the opposite. You're the middle more. You know how to make your way between each layer easily. Travelers cast long shadows here, and the eternal twilight shrouding this level offers ample hiding places. Adventurers should beware, lest they find themselves ambushed, relieved of their possessions and lives. And bowels, sounds like. Deception, nature, and stealth. Good vibe. Good vibe. A musical instrument. Elvish and Sylvan. No celestial. We get a flute, a trinket from a table. Nice. And a couple little bits of coin. We get the same amount of gold as these guys. I accept. What's our feature? Hiding among centaurs has made you a master of slipping in and out of the shadows. You gain the Skulker feat. Ah, okay, cool. We are given feats for all of them. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Skulker makes sense here. We also get a pamphlet on veganism. As if one of these guys gave them to us. A borrowed jug of wine. We intend to... Okay, stolen wine. A broken longbow. Broken longbow is a really interesting one. Because it's so simple. What's the story there? Okay, a magic jar filled with purple fireflies. You swear you can hear faint screaming for a few seconds. An iridescent... I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's something else in the document. Marara scale. You read scales. Does not enable holder to fly or swim. Okie dokie. And a well-honed dagger. Cool. All right, let's take a look at the last one. The Weathered Warrior. You think the implication is that you stole the pamphlet? Oh, it was easier to take one than to listen to someone endlessly drone. See, I assumed the take one was them going like, yeah, sure, just give it to me. You know? That's what I assumed, but no, okay, I get it. Yeah, I accept. I assumed this was like, it was easier to not like just be like, sure, can't, whatever. Okay, Weathered Warrior. You are the ultimate survivor. As a follower of the god Obad High in the Hidden Wood, you've experienced nature red of tooth and claw firsthand. Ooh, that's a cool phrase. Red of tooth and claw. I like that. Reclusive and dispassionate, Obad High sees frequent creature attacks against travelers as a feature rather than a bug. Or as in the case of the giant mantis, both. Lovely. Silly. You're a dingle dongle. Okay, good skill options. Woodcarver's tools or gaming dice. Woodcarver's tools is a nice one. I like that. No languages? Wait. Was that... You don't speak common? What? Dude. I'm not against it, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, that's right. You get other... Oh, I'm right. That's right. You get languages from your species, too. I'm sorry. I forgot. I thought that was like a... No, if you do this background, you're not talking. You're making animal noises at people. You live in a place where everything is trying to kill everything all the time. You don't got time to talk. You know, like Primal? That's where my head went. Fuck it, we grunt. Exactly. But yeah, I accept. You can speak. Fine. We get a spear, tattered clothes, some rope, bone dice, another trinket, and a pouch. Ooh, okay. Let's see what feature we get. Oh, it's not a feat. It's something different. When you roll a hit die to regain hit points, the minimum number rolls. Oh, this is a feat. It's the durable feat, right? Yeah, okay. We get the durable feat. Cool. Let's see what our trinket table is. An ancient stone spearhead, a regal eagle claw stained with blood. piece of rope made from a giant spider. I like that everything's tied to animals. A dissected head of a giant mantis. A pungent chunk of an underfossilized underfossilized piece of dinosaur. Is this just a piece of poop? Is this poop? What is corpulite? What is corporalite? Is that poop? Is this fossilized dinosaur poop? What's go? It is. Oh my dude. Oh my god, that is so funny. I like that you describe it as underfossilized. What are you doing to us? Okay. I like also that if the player does like, yeah, I want to roll for my option, and they get this, they're like, what the fuck? They're gonna figure out how to make that fit their character. Okay, what's the last thing? A branch you grabbed as you were accidentally pushed off a cliff by a companion. Great. Oh, and we get some bibliographies. Okay. Very nice. Somebody's a little bit more of a professional writer than most. Dude, Steph, really fun backgrounds. I like how tied to the lore they are, but honestly, the lore is, I think, so like focused that you could take most of these and apply them outside of it. Like a unicorn foundling, I think, works just as well in a D&D setting that just has unicorn groves as it does in this one. And like this one for like either like Underdark or, you know, spooky places, and this one being like from some like Death World style tough place. Very cool. Very fun. The amount of silly that you hit that is hidden here is pretty impressive. All right, we're moving on. We're gonna be looking at a piece from our dear Tradosio, the Untari. I think that was another species. It was 72. Also, as mentioned before, if you're just getting here, this is a totally free compendium made by our community for the purposes of fun and sharing. So if you want to get access to it, the link for it is in the video description on YouTube. You can also put in the command beast on Twitch. Get the whole thing. It's like 99 pages. And if you, for some reason, aren't able to get it or miss it or whatever, then it will be up on my Discord. And I'll also post it again, probably as a whatchamahoosit. Not as a whatchamahoosit, as a thingamajig. I'll post it on my community tab on YouTube probably also. But yeah, you should just get it, keep it, use it. Okay, this is the Untari. Unicorn person. Let's go. Also, nice art again, Kip. It's also just really good practice and a good excuse to make and finish brews. Yeah, deadline, dude. Yeah. When I don't have a deadline, I don't do anything. Yeah, okay. Yes, deadlines are super important. All right, Untari. Untari are the product of a miracle more than the product of people. One is created when a unicorn blesses a good-natured pregnant mother, granting the child divine grace. Oh, that's kind of fun. It's almost like a more specific version of a celestial species, or like it's like if Azamar are kind of like generally a divine-ish kid, this is like, fuck you, more specific. Unatar are similar to satyrs in appearance, although their legs resemble those of a horse, and instead of 2 goat horns, they grow 1 helix horn from the top of their head. And finally, their hairs are typically silvery white. An Unatari can expect a long life filled with fortune, while something's cut off of the picture here, while they share their elegance with the rest of the world. I might clip this. Is that just because I zoomed in? Whoever's organizing this, careful, you're cutting off some words here with the picture. Somebody clip this in. All right. Let's see what things we get. Good flavor text, very flavorful, very fun. You're medium or small into it. You got a 35-foot walking speed. You can speak, read, and write Common, Celestial, and one other language. Yeah, I can see the seam of the picture. It's like right here. Okay, let's see. Wait, you think it'll be different if I don't think it has to do with the zoom. It's kind of a fun game we could play sort of in general. Okay, it's got a walk speed of 35. We're quickies. Elegance. You're proficient in 2 of your choice from acrobatics, performance, or persuasion. Okay. I like it. I think that's a good way to express elegance for sure. Unicorn horn. We get a horn. We deal 1d6 damage. Additionally, you can use your horn as a spellcasting focus or holy symbol for your spells. This is a really simple and really awesome ribbon feature. It's a ribbon feature for sure. Like, it's going to come up occasionally, but it's the type of feature that will come up a lot if you make it. Like this, I don't want to, I want to highlight it because I want to just make sure everyone understands how important a feature like this is. Like, when you are playing D&D with your friends, they genuinely don't remember a lot of the powers that your character has, especially one random power. They're just not going to remember it. What they are going to remember, more than almost anything else, is the way you describe what your character does. I might not remember that the wizard in my party, I might not remember all of the spells or subclass abilities of the wizard in my party, but I am going to remember if they always describe their spellcasting as coming from their shadow, or their, you know, a big glowing clock appears and twists around, or things like, if you as a player lean into this with your horn glowing and magic shooting out of it, that is going to, with almost no mechanical implementation needed, make your character feel so genuinely unique. You know? It's cool. All right. Let's see what else we get. We get Healing Grace. You know the Spare the Dying cantrip? You can cast Cure Wounds. And at 3rd level, you can cast Lesser Restoration. And once you do either of them, you can't do them again until you finish the long rest or get another spell slot back. Cool. I really like this. Tradosio made this, I think. Yeah. Tradosio and Baba. Good team up. Good team up. Really fun. You want to say this is actually pretty powerful for a Sword and Shield Gish character? Yes, that's true. I think it is certainly powerful. I don't think it's overly powerful, but I think it's reasonably powerful as a class feature in the right circumstances, for sure. But again, I think that even though it is going to be reasonably powerful on a Gish character, I don't think anybody that is playing with that character is going to think, oh, wow, what a powerful mechanical combination that is. I think they're going to think, oh, yeah, that's the paladin that shoots his magic out of his horn. Like, it is still, I think, going to be the flavor that has the biggest impact here, even if the player is going to get some mechanical benefit out of it. But again, that's not a bad thing. Flair, I think that's great. Like, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Very powerful in the right circumstance. And I think that's kind of what also makes it extra work for the people that want to do that. It gives you the option to twist it around in that way. Really fun. And the spells are good. The spells are good. Spare the Dying makes sense. Cure Wounds makes sense. Lesser Restoration makes sense. All good spells. All very in that vibe of healing and preservation. I think it's solid. Very fun. The not the Unitard. The what is it called? The Unitari. Really fun. Really fun. All right. Who are we looking at next? What are we looking at next? I have a little list that we're going through. Next, we're going to be looking at a monster, I think. The Hoax Head Python. I'm assuming that's a monster. Yes, the hoax head python. Eastern common old world. Oh, it's like different varieties. That's cute. What makes its head a hoax head? I guess we'll find out. I keep going to send the link in the chat, but you guys just have it already. It's the whole document, so I don't need to do that every time. But I feel compelled to. The hoax head python. The hoax head python is an expert deceiver. These giant snakes evolved alongside hydras, to perfectly mimic the look and behavior of its heads. Is this like a false hydra, but in a way that a false hydra should be, not the crazy thing that just happens to have the name false hydra for no reason? That's what I think. That they did this idea start as, what if I made a false hydra but made it actually a false hydra, not like a memory eating eldritch horror monster? What's up, Skips? You want to know something crazy? I'm not just reading a D&D book. I'm reading a D&D book that was made by people in my community. I'm reading a D&D book that was made by people that are just also people that are my audience. If you're not in my Discord, you should join it, because people do cool projects like that, and then we get to look at them together on stream. And I get to have fun because I get to look at really nice, cool, weird ideas for Homebrew. And I get to feel cool because I'm sharing other people's work. And you get to feel cool because we get to have a parasocial relationship where somebody that you watch on YouTube is looking at something that you literally wrote. And that's pretty crazy. I do that during my regular live streams too, but I'm usually in feedback mode, and feedback mode's a little scary for some people, and it's less inherently fun and more ideally a little helpful, and sometimes a little fun and sometimes a little scary. Yeah, I do. So if you've never seen my streams, I do every Sunday. I do a stream where I just review people's homebrew and I give very critical feedback. Fair warning, it's very critical feedback. And then I do other streams throughout the week where I do other things. Usually one of them is something like this, where we look at homebrew or write some homebrew or talk about D&D stuff. And then not tomorrow or Wednesday, but Thursday, we are going to be doing a stream where we look at homebrew that you guys sent in again, but it's themed homebrew, and the theme is going to be make a subclass that is the opposite of one of the officially published subclasses. Anyway, let's keep reading about this lovely, lovely little creature. They learn to use their hooked tails to attach themselves to hydras. Oh, shit! That's so different than what I thought. That's crazy. The python is extremely adaptive, molting as it travels to look more and more like the hydras in its area. That's fun. They form a symbiotic relationship with them, providing their servitude and strength in exchange for the hydra's protection and shared food. Oh my god, they're like the little creatures that swim around with sharks. The python's movement and mannerisms match those of the hydra's heads, even when unattached. Due to this strange behavior, hydras tend to find the hoax head fascinating and quickly bond with it. A hydra could have more than one or even multiple hoax heads. All right, crazy. Let's take a look at what this thing does. It's a CR2 monster. It can hold its breath for a long time. Blind sight. I forget if hydras are amphibious or not, but it would be interesting if hydras are amphibious and this is not, because that would mean that they would need to leave the hydra if it like fell asleep underwater, which is kind of fun. While they remain motionless, they're indistinguishable from a hydra's decapitated head. That's fun. Snake Charmer. Hydras that see the python for the first time in a day have to make a charisma saving throw or be charmed by it. Whoa. The charm ends if it is harmed by the python in any way. Okay, I'm assuming the mechanical the mechanical goal here is that like it makes it easy for the hoax head to bond with the hydra, but in a lot of ways it almost makes the hoax head in charge, you know? Okay, we get a little baby bite attack. We get a constrict that constricts. False head. The python attaches itself to a hydra within 5 feet of it and works with it as one of its heads. While attached, the python occupies the hydra's space, moves with it. It can Let's see. It moves with it. It cannot move by any other means. Can't take any actions other than detaching itself. It cannot be targeted. Oh, so it literally is just an extra head for the Hydra. For each hoax head python attached to a Hydra, it counts as an additional head. Yeah. That's cool. Whenever it takes damage, whenever the Hydra takes damage, roll a d4. On a 1, the damage is redirected to a hoax head, and it detaches. Oh, cool. So it basically is like a power-up for Hydras. That's really fun. That's really fun. I could also see a weird situation where, like, players are fighting a Hydra actively, and these things are around, and they have to navigate the fight in a way where they are both fighting the Hydra and preventing hoax head pythons from actively attaching to it in the fight, because the more hoax head that attaches to it in the fight, the more powerful the Hydra becomes, you know? Because if you attack the Hydra and you roll a 1, you don't actually even deal any damage to the Hydra. So if the Hydra has hoax heads, there's a 1 in 4 chance you are not hurting it, and it's getting extra attacks. That's crazy. Really fun idea. Really fun idea. Super, super nuts. Genuinely super nuts. It probably does need to be a Beast of Legend due to the power level of Snake Charmer, but that's fine. I think that we can just remember that, or you can edit the document later if you want. Anyway, really fun monster. Really fun monster. I really like it. Imagine a Hydra whose body is being used as a nest for these things. Yeah, it'd be gross. A lot of stuff in here has quite a lot of gross potential, but that's nature, man. Nature's squiggly. Nature ain't anything but gross. All right, the next piece I don't know how to pronounce. I will try. We are going to be looking at something called the Carcharodontosaurus. Ooh. Carcharodontosaurus, often shortened simply to Carcharo, are large theropods, almost 50% larger than a Tyrannosaurus. Big, big boys. Big boys. What makes them especially dangerous, aside from their sheer size and strength, is the razor-sharp teeth, almost identical to that of a shark. Oh, that's fun. Which can easily cut through flesh. Makes sense. These teeth are where the behemoth got its name, meaning quite literally sharp-toothed lizard. Fun. CR9. Okay, so we're sitting in the same space of a T-Rex in terms of power level. Bunch of hit points, bunch of armor. Very quick. Speedy boy. Keen senses. Ooh, it crits on a 19 or a 20. 2 bite attacks. Wow. So this really is like if you streamlined a T-Rex. Like if you made a T-Rex, really more of a it's like a jet engine version of a T-Rex. Like it's like woof. It's a little bit different in some ways in that it's not grappling, it doesn't get the weird other tail attack, but it is a shit ton faster. And that 19 or 20 crit on an attack that does 3d10 damage is fucking scary. It's just the mouth. Yeah, it's fun. It feels like a boiled down version of a T-Rex that you then gave some sort of like adrenaline drug to. That's what it's like. It's like if you took a T-Rex, you boiled it for like a week, so it was like really weird and shriveled up and everything, and then you just pumped it full of adrenaline. That's what this feels like. I like it a lot. Very fun. If you were playing in like a higher level campaign, like if you got to the point in a game with this where your players were level like 15, 16, 17, this is the type of monster that I think would be really fun to fight like in like small herds, or like to represent how there's a variety of big-toothed monster and they all feel a little different. You know what I mean? You could definitely just fight just one of these, but for whatever reason, I feel like you'd be fighting more than one at a time. This feels like a monster that would be fighting with its friends, even though maybe there's no logical reason for that to be that way. They do move in herds. Yeah. Really fun piece. Really cool. All my dinos were based off Ark Survival Evolved, and these were always fun to play against. That is a really interesting way to go about it. I have not played Ark Survival Evolved, but I do know that it's one of those games where there are a bunch of different dinosaurs that might have similar body shapes because they're trying to be somewhat realistic in terms of dinosaur shapes, but they all have like very different vibes and how they move and interact and fight. I think that's a good expression of it. Speedy boy. Speedy violent boy. A lot of violence in this thing, huh? All right. Next, we're going to be looking at a piece called the Gelfin. Pasta was very helpful in standardizing the monster section. Listen, Pasta's been around the block for a while. At this point, a lot of you guys have been around the block for a while. But in the same way that when I am doing my... You know, like when I'm streaming and somebody shares a monster... And I do that thing where I like quickly say the feedback. There's like a certain amount of feedback that I probably give at least twice a stream, which is like the basic monster stat block feedback. And it's, I don't know how exciting it is to hear it so often. But when you aren't doing anything performative and you're just like building something together, that feedback can be a lot more streamlined. And it's like not a hassle. Like it's not a hassle to like type that in 3 sentences. So I think that it's one of those things where it's like, it's good to have folks that are like willing to play that sort of like, let's get all this stuff organized direction. Because that is harder to do live over and over and over again. I think in person, the challenge there is just making sure you're doing it right and consistently. But being a person that's going to be like, boom, I'm going to be a beacon of that. A noble thing. A noble thing. Okay. The next piece we're going to be looking at is called the Gelfin. Don't know what that means. We're going to see in a second. The Gelfin. Oh, it's okay. The Gelfin, not the Gelfin. Okay. The Gelfin. Ooh, we have another bird person. Ashante. I love how these creatures feel like creatures rather than monsters. Venusian, I think that's a lot of the goal here, is that there is... The magic here is very like Conan the Barbarian magic, where it is not... shooting lightning. It's like big, or it's almost like mythology magic, like not Conan the Barbarian, but like, you know, like the, you know, in a lot of mythology, the monster is just a lion, but it's 40 feet tall. Formatting is one of my favorite parts of Brew for some reason. It's a very satisfying pasta. But here's what my guess would be. It is a very satisfying thing to make something go from kind of disorganized looking to looking organized. And if the process of doing that isn't a pain, like that's very satisfying. So I totally get that. It's very sad. Even in my own work, like writing homebrew is fun, but one of the most satisfying parts of writing homebrew is when I'm done getting all the ideas out and I actually format it to look like homebrew. Whether that's like, you know, if I'm making a subclass, whether that's like, you know, putting it into the templates and giving it columns and stuff, it just makes it it makes it feel like it's coming to life. Okay, let's see what the Gelfin gets. In the frigid depths of the frozen oceans. Oh, it's a penguin! The Gelfin, a humanoid race resembling penguins, find their home. Yes, give me the penguin. I will take penguin, please. With slick feathers, Gelfin are perfectly adapted to endure the harshest of environments. Gelfin exhibit a remarkable blend of grace and tenacity, whilst also harboring an instinctual need for community. Cool. All right, let's see. We're a humanoid. We don't live that long. Only 50 years. We're small or medium. Oh, I love this. We're slow, but we're quick in the water. Really fun. Not crazy. It would be so easy for you to just give us a 30-foot movement speed and a 30-foot swim speed. But this, even though it is technically weaker, I think is actually just so much better for selling the feeling of this subclass. You know what I mean? Or not this subclass, this species. We're resistant to cold. Of course we are. Survival, of course. We are the survivors of the Arctics. Let's see what features we get. We get huddle for warmth and belly slide. Huddle for warmth. When you are within 5 feet of one or more friendly creatures, you gain temporary hit points at the start of your turn equal to your Constitution modifier. These last until the start of your next turn. You can use Huddle for Warmth a number of times equal to your Con modifier per long rest. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's like we can get a little boon when we are next to our buddy. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I like it. It's simple. Can I say something crazy? Do you know what my first thought was here? And maybe that's nuts. What if it wasn't limited? If it was unlimited, would that be too powerful? Maybe that would be too powerful. Yeah, that would be too powerful. Okay. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let's look at belly slide. As a bonus action, you can slide on your belly up to 20 feet in a straight line. Amazing. Doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Amazing. Oh, it goes on. If you collide with an enemy, your movement ends, and you can attempt... Does your movement end mean you don't get any more movement? I guess it means this thing ends. And you can attempt a strength athletics check contested by the target's things to do what? To knock them prone. Regardless of success, you stand up at the end of the slide, and you can only do that once per short rest. Okay. I like that. That's great. That's very funny. I like that a lot. This is really fun. You can just move and knock people down. Great. I want to be able to use it more than once per short or long rest, but I'm assuming you did some calculating for that, plus this, plus getting a damage resistance, and we're like, you know what? We can't just do this all the time. That would be my guess, is where the brain went there. Really fun. Really, really fun, Mr. Kiwi Bird. All right, let's give them a round of applause. What's up, Neo? Right now, we are looking at this massive compendium that a bunch of people in my community made for fun, for free. So here it is. It's peer-reviewed. They made all original art for it. It's called the Beastlands, and it's all about animal people and crazy big monsters that feel more animalistic than just monstrous. Yeah. All right. So that is the Gelafin, the little penguin guy. It's pretty great. If you guys don't follow Neo is also a homebrew writer. Neo does a lot of different things. I see that Neo streams video games a lot too. Neo does not live just in the world of D&D in the way that we are often chained to. But if you don't follow them, definitely should check their stuff out. They fun. And they're a very good designer too. I don't know how often they do homebrew streams compared to gaming streams. I don't think it's as often, although I do think that you do them pretty regularly. But yeah, fun guy, clever guy, good writer. Cinder, what's the protocol for sharing this compendium with others? However the fuck you want. I'll be honest, Delport, this isn't mine. If anything, it's these guys. These ones. These are the people that made it. So I would say it's probably, I would say maybe see if they want to share it before you share it. But other than that, I think it's probably fine. Like maybe give the creators an opportunity to share it across Reddit if they want to first. Oh, it's already public on Reddit. Okay, boom. There you go. So yeah, I would say share it as much as you want. I think the goal here, and I don't mean to speak 100% for the creators, but I think the goal here genuinely is to just share it with as many people as want to use it. I think the goal is like, we're having fun making a thing. Let's make it together. That's a good question though. Okay. The last piece that we have on our little list of things to explore is the cleric domain of hunting. Now, when we're done looking at this, depending on where I'm at, we might go a little bit longer and look at more, but we might not. If we don't look at more, don't be sad. Again, this whole compendium is there for you to use. And if you want to talk about it, you know, get into a conversation about it in the Discord with each other. Like, you don't need to stop your investigation of this piece when I end stream. Okay? But I'm not going to read the whole thing on stream also. All right, let's take a look at the cleric hunting domain. This is by Geostellar and our dear Baba. Our dear Geostellar too. You're also a deer. Let's be real. Gods of hunting dwell on the edge between civilization and the wild. In good times, their followers seek out the most challenging beasts to hunt and take trophies from. In evil times, their clerics find and destroy the monsters that threaten civilization. Followers of gods of hunting are more at home in the wilds than they are within the city walls, and prefer the clear water of a forest brook to the fine wines in city markets. All right, straight to the point, punchy flavor text, very nice. This is your baby? Goo goo gaga. Ugh. It might be your baby, but you better call me daddy. Let's see what spells we get. Hunter's Mark, find familiar. Cordon of arrows, pass without a trace. Lightning arrow, tiny hut. Guardian of nature, locate creature. Commune with nature, conjure volley. So, if I was going to be making a guess, we are going in the direction of an archer cleric slash a martial cleric, like a fighting cleric, but not designed to be frontline, just like ranged fighting cleric, which is very cool. At first level, we get bonus proficiencies and blessed shot. Let's see what they are. Bonus proficiencies. We get proficiency in martial ranged weapons and survival. Solid, simple, straightforward. So we still need dex. We're not using wisdom for our ranged weapons, which is, I think, important to note. Not a bad thing, but it's a choice that they made. Similarly to how, like, the Blade Singer, who's it? The Blade Singer wizard doesn't add charisma to their, or intelligence to their attacks, and the sword bard doesn't do charisma for its attacks. You don't need to do that to make it work. Not everybody needs to be a hexblade. It's fine. Okay, blessed shot. At first level, you learn how to, especially if it's dex, right? Everybody needs dex. Stop whining. People that I'm imagining in my head. At first level, you learn how to siphon the power of your deity into your weapon when you cast your spells, empowering it with divine accuracy. When you cast a spell of first level or higher, you can add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll of the next... Wait, let me start that sentence over. When you cast a spell of first level or higher, you can add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll of the next ranged weapon attack you make within the next minute. Oh, that's fun. So it's not like an ongoing thing, but basically when you use a spell slot, your next ranged attack is going to get a big bonus. I like that. Getting to add your wisdom modifier on top of your regular attack would be really strong. I mean, that literally is the ranger capstone. It's not a good capstone, but it is the ranger capstone. But by limiting it to when you're casting spells, it's going to, I think, balance it out for the most part. I like it. I think it's good. Hey, Gina, how's it going? Gina, right now we are looking at a compendium that was made by my community, full of monsters and subclasses and things, called the Beastlands, all about being beastie people. Totally for free, totally for fun. They made all their own art and everything, and it's friggin' awesome. And we're just looking through it in bits and pieces. We've actually been looking through it for a little while, but we're still looking through it. And right now we're looking at a hunting domain cleric, which it seems like is a cleric that is designed around being sort of like a archer. So we get this first level feature where when we cast a spell, we can empower our next ranged weapon attack. And again, very simple. I think it works. It's strong, but it's pretty limited. But we're still going to get a lot of access to it, which is good. I noticed that this works really well with a bunch of the bonus action stuff, and I think that's great. Like, the obvious is the Hunter's Mark into this, right? Yeah, very Artemis. Let's take a look at the Channel Divinity. Starting at 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to set magical traps to snare your enemies. As an action, you present your holy symbol and set magical snares in a 20-foot cube centered on a point you can see within 90 feet. How many? Oh, I guess we'll see. The snares last for 1 minute. When a creature enters the area, so it's just the whole area. When the creature enters the area or moves within it for the first time, on their turn, they have to make a dex save or become restrained. And a restrained creature or another creature that can reach them can use their action to free them. Okay, wait, so you basically pick an area that you can see within 90 feet of you, and it becomes like a big trap for a minute. This would be my question, and you can answer if you want, because I genuinely don't know. What is the fundamental difference between this and the spell Ensnare or Entangle? This feels a lot like the spell Entangle, where you pick an area and that area basically restrains everyone inside it. Is this intended to feel like that? It is? Okay, cool. Then mission accomplished. So it's sort of like a non-concentration alternative. Gotcha. Okay. Let's take a look at 6th level, Heavenly Scouting. At 6th level, as an action, you can beseech your deity for information about a creature you can see. Your god answers, relaying their choice of one of the following details about the target. It learns their damage stuff. It learns their condition immunities. How many legendary action resistances it has. Its highest saving throw and its lowest saving throw. You can only use this feature once per target. Once you use it twice, you have to finish a long rest before using it again. This is interesting. This is very strong. I would say, in my opinion, this feature, knowing its highest saving throw and its lowest saving throw, is probably the strongest part of it by far. Knowing how many legendary resistances it has is situational, but largely, I think, never going to be picked. Learning its condition immunity is also very good, and learning all its damage stuff also very good. But I actually think this is the strongest here. I might make this more limited in how much I could use it. I might make this less than a once a day feature. Maybe. I don't know. I like it. It's, you know what it does? It's very similar, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it's really similar to the monster wizard that we looked at, the Wizard of Taxonomy, right? It's kind of a similar thing. You're learning, a lot of the things you're learning are actually the exact same thing. So I think it almost feels like an alternative version of the Wizard of Taxonomy feature. Very interesting. I wonder if that was intended in the design, if there was like some symmetry that was intended across subclasses, or if it just sort of naturally occurred. Let's take a look at Divine Strike. At 8th level, you gain the ability to infuse your weapons with divine force. Could be teammates. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if the writers like sat in a room and were like, what are the things that are important to get across in these things, and we're all going to work on them in our own way. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I wasn't saying that this was inspired by the Taxonomy Wizard or the Taxonomy. I wasn't trying to imply that one came first or one came second. I just meant that I'm curious if it was like one person, if it was like done intentionally, you know? Like sometimes you build if you have a compendium about ice magic, everybody might have some element of similar ice magic or whatever. All right, let's take a look at Divine Strike. It's basic Divine Strike. What kind of damage? Just the weapons type? That makes sense. Okay, we whacking people. It just naturally occurred. That's kind of what I thought. Divergent evolution is what you'd call that. Which is like where bats got wings and birds got wings and flies got wings, but none of them got them from each other. At 17th level, we have Divine Hunter. At 17th level, your divine powers and weapon attacks flow seamlessly with one another. When you cast a spell of 1st level or higher, you can make one ranged weapon attack as part of the same action. That is crazy. I like it a lot, but it's also crazy. It's crazy, but I like it a lot. I think if I was going to try to figure out how to balance this, if I was worried about it not being balanced, I might only limit it to actions or only limit it to bonus actions, but not any type of spell. Because I could see some weird stuff happening there, maybe. But also, it's 17th level. I don't know if we need to worry about weird stuff anymore. You know? We're sort of convergent, not divergent. Thank you, Pinky. Thank you. I appreciate the clarity. Convergent evolution. Divergent evolution is when things go in other directions. Like how some creatures decided they really wanted to, you know, hang out in slime, and other ones decided they really wanted to fight each other. So the ones that hung out in slime grew into slugs, and the ones that wanted to fight each other grew into humans. Even though they used to be the same. I think a party of all Beastland subclasses could work well. You would just need to make sure you were, you know, honestly, it would just turn a lot of these features that are a little similar into just like resources that you would sort of almost feel like they would be shared resources, you know? Yeah, fun. Very fun. Very fun. Solid flavor. Also, I think you do a really good job of like not overplaying it to make it work. Like the ability to... all of the stuff that ties with our spellcasting, empowering our ranged attacks, none of it feels overcomplicated. None of it feels like tedious or like stupidly overpowered. It just feels simple, but in a way that I think a player using this would like very much feel the presence of the subclass. Yeah, very fun. Very fun. The peer review process really helped refine these pieces. Yeah, I mean, I see it in them, man. Everything here is really smooth. Like, nothing here is, like, frustrating to read. Everything is really easy to understand. Everything feels like it just works well. Dr. Gonzo Wallbanger, thank you for the resub. Thanks, Cinder. No, thank you. Very fun. All right. So those were all of the pieces that I was going to look at on this curated list, which means that we are now going to move on. I see that there's that you have sent me. I see that you've sent me other pieces to look at. I kind of just want to look around on my own, if that's cool. I'm just going to want to see. We're just going to look at the table of contents, and we're just going to pick something to look at now. I mean, I'll tell you what I want to look at is I want to look at barbarians, because that's my favorite thing. So that's what I want to look at is I want to look at this. I want to look at the barbarian. That's what I want to look at. Can we look at the barbarian? Chat, please. 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 Are you going to be sad if we look at other things? Because I will be. Okay, we're going to look at the barbarian. Path of the Great Oak. Remember, if you just got here, if you've been here forever, you can get this compendium yourself. Just type the command beast in chat. Like that. And there's the whole thing right there for you. Or it's going to be up in my Discord. Or also you can find it, if you're on YouTube, it's in the video description. Path of the Great Oak, excuse me. As the forests shrink, their anger grows. With no mouth nor hands to express that anger, they suffer silently, but do not forget. Fuck me, Kip. That is a good opener, dude. That's a good opener. Barbarians of the Path of the Great Oak have found ways to call upon this everlasting wellspring of anger in order to do their reckoning. I really like this flavor text. You were worried about this one? Well, listen, we're not doing deep feedback dives, so if I think something's really powerful in a way that I might tear it apart, and other times I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's really powerful. So don't be too worried. We're not doing feedback session tonight. We're just exploring. So my smolder's really just not here at all, and my teacher brain is not on, or it's on a little, but not that much. Voice of Verdure. Verder? How do I pronounce this word? Oh god, I don't know. When you choose this path, you learn to speak, read, and write Druidic and one other language of your choice. Okay. Druidic is a fun thing to do because it's very special. We also learn Druidcraft. Okay, cool. So we're a little naturey. We a little naturey. Oh shit. And then we also get Ivy Arms. Also at 3rd level, while you're raging, your unarmed strikes now have a range of 10 feet. Oof, nice. Whenever you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, they take 2d6 slashing damage instead of your regular bludgeoning damage. Ugh, excuse me. You can also grapple at the range of your unarmed strikes. I think if you say you extend your reach, that is covered there. So this is making your unarmed strikes do 2d6 damage. Yeah, I could see why you'd be nervous about that. I think that works. I would say this works really well if your player and you promise that you are never going to multi-class into monk. I think that's what makes that work. I think if you do that, it works fine. I think if you multi-class into monk, you dance in Crazy Town. Okay, let's see what we get for 6th level. Rooted Anger. Why slashing punched? Because I think I think it's slashing because it's supposed to be like you have vines that you're like whoosh, 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 slicing them up with, not beating. I think the image is they're spiky vines, like sharp vines, is what I would imagine. Let's look at Rooted Anger. Beginning at 6th level, at the end of your turn in combat, if you are touching the ground and you haven't moved during your turn, your AC increases by 2 and you cannot be knocked prone or moved against your will until the start of your next turn. Interesting. I like that. I think what I would probably do, I probably would say, I might change the wording of it to be something like a mode you could enter. Like at the end of your turn in combat. I wonder if I would... Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting into editor mode. I'm not trying to. If I was going to change anything about this, I think this works. If I was going to change anything about this, what I would change is I would say, instead of saying at the end of your turn, I would say at the start of your turn, you can choose to not move. Like basically, like at the start of your turn, you can choose to move. You can choose to change your movement speed to 0. Maybe there's a reason why you made it like that. Maybe there's something about moving. I don't know. I'm wondering if it's a thing that would make more sense to activate at the start of the turn. Not in terms of even the features that we get, but just in terms of how we as a player decide to engage with it. This almost makes it feel more of a passive, but maybe that's good, right? Maybe that's what it's supposed to feel like. Like it just sort of happens. I don't know. I like it. I think it's fine. I think that sometimes sometimes I really don't like numbers go up, which this is doing. But I think if you have a really big problem with that, you can take it out. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world here. But I like the idea that it's stemming from you sort of like being connected to the earth long enough that little like bits of mycelia and stuff start like going across. Delport is asking if it would stack every turn. Because it says it happens until the start of your next turn, I think it turns off. So I don't think it stacks. And I think that's where we get that it doesn't stack, is right here. It's kind of like the aim feature on the rogue. Is that how it's written for the rogue? I accept it. I just wasn't sure if that was an intentional choice or not. And if it wasn't, I think it might be worth playing around with that sentence structure. But again, we don't need to be in review mode. I think about sentence structure a lot. Okay, at 10th level, we get photosynthesis and overgrown tongue. Dude, everybody loves the tongues. What is this stream? What do you mean? Look at the title. We are reviewing a compendium of Homebrew that was created by my Discord community, or at least members of it, that worked pretty hard on it, doing a bunch of peer review and stuff, making all the art, organizing it, making like world lore and stuff, and they are giving it away for free. You can find the link for it in my video description, or if you're on Twitch, do the command wheel. And we are exploring it. Yeah. And it's pretty freaking cool so far. Chat, I mean, I think you think it's pretty cool. I know. I always assume you guys would take the time to read the title of a video. It's okay if you don't. I can't even get mad at you for not doing it anymore because it's so consistent that I have been gaslit into thinking that it's unreasonable to expect it. So that's, you know, it is what it is. Okay, photosynthesis. Starting at 10th level while raging, you can use a bonus action to expend a hit die and regain a number of hit points equal to the amount rolled. While under direct sunlight, the amount of hit points regained is doubled. I think this is interesting. I would probably limit this even more than just expending hit dice. I don't know if I would let you do this for as many hit dice as you had. Especially if we want to do sunlight, doubling it. Because we're under sunlight a lot. But I like the feeling here. The feeling here is fun. I also think it might feel more balanced if it was 10 hit points. But that's neither here nor there. But very fun. Simple, straightforward. We also get Overgrown Tongue. We can cast Speak with Plants once per long rest. Oh, that's fun. If I was going to give you a feedback suggestion, I would say get rid of photosynthesis and give them a secondary aspect of Overgrown Tongue. I think this is really fun, and I think it feels more like a 10th level feature of a barbarian than this does. But if you like it, it's fine. It's not bad. That's just where my head goes. Okay, let's look at Poisonous Bark. Beginning at 14th level while raging, your unarmed strikes deal an additional 1d6 poison damage. And then beyond that, at 14th level, your creature type becomes plant. While you're raging, you're under the effects of Tree Stride. Additionally, if you are carrying another creature or have another creature grappled, they enter or exit the tree with you. I think these are both cool. I would drop this 14th level feature entirely and just keep this one. I think this one's awesome. I also think maybe you could tie this growing of the poison into the 10th level feature and maybe not make it quite so high. But overall, I think it's really fun. I see why you were nervous for me to look at it. It definitely is really strong. That being said, I don't think it's really that unreasonable anywhere. Like, nothing here is egregious. And I think it's capturing the vibe a lot. I think there's still some stuff you could definitely tweak or rework if you wanted to, but I think it's solid. I don't think you need to worry about it. I think it's good. I think people could have fun with it. It's really easily exploitable, for sure. 100% very easily exploitable. We're not going to pretend it's not. But it's still fun. A 14th level one of these / 3rd level monk would be insane. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Fun piece. The Path of the Great Oak. Cool. All right. Is there anything else we want to check out? I think we might be rounding it out soon. Oh, I want to look at the 9th level spell. That's what I wanted to look at. Yeah, let's look at the 9th level spell. You forgot multi-classing exists? That's fine. We often do. That's why I was saying... Oh, it's a long one. All right, I don't care. We're going to commit to it. That's why I was saying you could... It's a lot of the things that were popping up in my head where I was like, I think are solved. Honestly, a lot of homebrewing problems are solved if the player using the homebrew just commits to not multi-classing. I should see if there's any more monsters that strike my fancy. We'll see how I feel after I'm done reading this. Volcano. 9th level conjuration. 1 action, range 300 feet, concentration up to a minute. Costs some gold to make. Costs some gold. A mountainous volcano surges up through a point through the ground at a point you choose within range, hurling molten boulders into the air and pouring a river of lava onto the ground. The volcano is a 60-foot cone made of rock. The circular base of the volcano cone is centered on the ground, and the point of the cone is oriented up away from the ground. This is a tedious sentence, but I actually think you need it, so I'm here for it. You need a version of it at least, but like it's not tedious. That's not the right word. It is like radio instructions. This is an instruction manual sentence, but it's sometimes spells need an instruction manual sentence. A creature in the area that the volcano appears must make a strength save. On a failure, it falls prone and is pushed to the closest unoccupied space. So everybody like falls down the sides of it, or end up on top of it, basically. Cool. 3 molten boulders explode out to points you choose within 60 feet, and they make their own little explosions that do like little fireball / bludgeoning damage. And on every turn, we can use our bonus action to launch 3 more. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so it's actually like, it's almost like Crown of Stars, where we're casting it, and then every turn we're shooting stuff out of it. Okay, okay, okay. That's a fun direction to go in. After the volcano emerges, a river of lava flows down the volcano's peak. The river of lava consists of 10 by 10 foot squares that you can place. Oh, that's fun. And they have to be touching each other, I guess. Yeah. And the creatures in the area have to be careful, or they take a shit ton of fire damage. And we can use our action to place more. Okay, so the way that this spell works, as I'm reading it, is it's an action to cast it, and you build a volcano, and then on subsequent turns, and then you do 2 things when you build a volcano. You make a bunch of boulders crash, and you place your lava. And then on every turn, after that, you can use your action to make the lava river flow farther, and use your bonus action to make some explosions come out. So it's like a controllable natural disaster that you summon. I think that's really... I really like that. And I think what sells it to me as being genuinely unique as a spell is the idea that it's really doing... It's almost like... there's a spell that's called like Wrath of Nature, which lets you like make rocks fall and trees attack. It does like a bunch of different nature things. And this is like that, but with a great deal more specified battlefield control. Like you're making dangerous areas, and then like a perpetual, you're almost like building a wall of fire constantly. I like it. I think it's really fun. You were cribbing off Wrath of Nature a bit. Yeah. I think it's solid, dude. I think it's really fun. I think it's really fun. All right, let's scroll. Let's look at some monsters. Now we're just sort of going. So I'm not gonna read everything. If people are like, look at this, I might say sure. I might move past it. Don't be mad. Don't be sad. Just enjoy. Crabgrass. Let's look at crabgrass. First monster in the piece. I love the art. The art's pretty great. Note the little crabbies? Yeah. If crabgrass is awful to find in your lawn, then it's much worse to find in the forest. A nice sun-drenched meadow hides terrible pincers for the unwary adventurer. Okay. CR2, they don't really move that much. Oh, it's a swarm. It's a gargantuan swarm. Okay, so can I ask a question? Is a gargantuan swarm of crabgrass, is that your clever way of saying a field? Is this a field of crabgrass? That's what my guess is. Delport says they like how it permanently affects the landscape. As a dungeon master, they would seed the after effects somewhere for the PCs to find. Yeah, that's true. Like, you could have a city that's built around a volcano in a place where there really shouldn't be a volcano because 100 years ago, somebody cast that 9th level spell there. It's invasive. That's awesome. Okay, it's got all of the basic swarmy stuff. That's what these info are here. This is all just your basic swarm stuff. While it remains motionless, the crabgrass is indistinguishable from a field of grass. I fucking called it. It's a field, baby. Pinch. Why is that so funny? Okay. One creature within the crabgrass gets pinched, taking some damage. It's not that much damage. Okay, reasonable. I want to say something about this thing. If you wanted to make a big version of it, like a scary big version of it, I think one of the main changes I would do, and I don't know what else it gets, but I think the main change I would do is I would change this so instead of it targeting one creature within its area, this bite attack, this pinch attack would target all creatures within its area. I think about that a lot with swarm monsters, that mechanic. Okay, crabgrass recharges. Oh, this is just the feature. Grabgrass, not crabgrass, excuse me. Oh god, Gem Jar. That hurts. Did you hear the story about the magic tractor? It went down a lane and turned into a field. Okay, that hurts my body. Every creature in the crabgrass's space has to make a dex saving throw on a failed save. Oh, this is literally what I was suggesting. You literally have it in there. Ignore me. It's already there. On a failed save, the creature takes some piercing damage, and if it's large or smaller, it's grappled. Okay, yeah. You literally have it in there. It feels weird too that there isn't a fire spreading mechanic. Well, I don't, there's not really a lot of fire spreading mechanics with most plant creatures, but I guess you could have them in here. But they're not really grass, right? They're sort of fake grass. They hide amongst the grass. So they probably are less burny than regular grass. Cool. Honestly, just fun. Fun. Goofy. All right, what should I look at next? The Horned Viper. We're not going to look at everything, but we are going to skim. Should we just go? Should we just skim? I guess we just go through the line, right? We just go down, look at some. Should I pick them based on if people made them or didn't make them? Or should we just pick them based on pictures or what? I don't know. Let's look at a giant beast. Let's look at the giant. Should we look at the giant mammoth or should we look at something else? Let's see. I want to look at the giant river mussel. That sounds fucking weird. Giant river mussel? What? That's weird. Moth stash is interesting. All right, we'll scroll around. Freshwater mussels are the masters of ambush, but surprisingly enough, are not predators. They only feed on whatever minuscule food they can filter from the current. However, they regularly trap nearby creatures to force them into carrying their brood upstream. Well, that sounds terrifying. Their speed is 0. Pretty armory. Not a lot of hit points. Very squishy big guys. I mean, a medium-sized creature for a mussel is terrifying. They just look like rocks. They breathe underwater. Okay, let's see what their action is. Brood Blast. The mussel squirts hundreds of tiny spats in a 10-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw, taking some piercing damage and being covered in biting spats. Oh, that's just the grossest 2 words I've ever seen put together. What does that even... Ugh. While covered in them, a creature can't regain hit points by non-magical means. They let go after 24 hours or when bathed in water. They're just like clinging on. Ugh. Gross. Gross. I love it, but it's gross. The mussel sucks up water around a creature that targets it with a melee attack, attempting to grab the creature. The creature has to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the attack misses, and the creature is restrained. And it has to be aware of the creature's presence. So if you are not within 30 feet of it, it's not going to notice you, or if it hasn't spotted you yet. They have very low perception. Even if they have tremor sense, you might be able to sneak past these guys. Here's a fun fact that I'm not sure about the answer to. How does tremor sense work underwater? If I have tremor sense and I am blind beyond having tremor sense and I am at the bottom of a river, like on the riverbed, and a creature swims over me, does my tremor sense proc that? Or do they need to bump into the ground in the riverbed? Like, does water transmit tremor sense? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. As a DM, you'd say yes. Rules as written, you don't think so? Yeah, it's a really not conventional monster. It's fun. All right. Don't be sad if you made one that I'm skimming past. We're just, we're just sort of scrolling here. Did we have any magic items on this? Were there any magic items at this? I didn't see. I don't think we looked at any magic items. There might not be any in here. It might all just be, and it might all just be player option stuff. I think it is. Oh no, there's some magic items. 91. Magic items. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Beast droughts. Okay, what's a beast drought? Because these are all beastie droughts, or at least a lot of them are. You wondered about the lava fish I reviewed? What about them? I don't remember. Oh, the tremor sense thing? Yeah. In Beastlands, intrepid herbalists have distilled the essence of many powerful beasts into clear, effervescent draughts. When consumed, these beverages infuse a portion of the power of the beast into the drinker. Oh, so you drink it, you get the power of the monster? Right, let's see what the fuck that means. When we drink it as a skunk, we get a stripe. We can use our action to spray people. They get skunked. While they're skunked, they have to make dex save or con saves, or they lose their turn. That's really strong. And they can be smelled from really far away. That's very funny. And you get 3 uses of it. Let's see for the rhino. We get a big horn. We get to be thick boys. If we move at least 30 feet in a straight line towards something, we get to slam into them, knocking them prone and dealing damage. All right, that makes sense. We're just getting like powers of monsters. What does the moose one get? Fuck traps. We can just destroy traps. And we can eat a lot of cheese. That makes sense. If it's not treeses, it's cheeses. Should we look at the termite one? Is that what you said? Drought of the termite. Draught of the termite. Excuse me. Thank you. When you drink this potion, your mouth becomes a pair of insectoid mandibles, and you grow a pair of antennae. Sure. During the time, you can chew through and eat solid wood. Yeah, sure. You can chew through up to 5 cubic feet of wood in 10 minutes. Do you know what's so funny about that? When the heck are you going to bump into 5 cubic feet of wood? Like maybe in the right forest, I guess. But most like buildings in D&D, there's maybe a foot of wood max. 5 foot cube of wood would be a crazy thing. That's funny. It's nutritious, and you can eat delicious, and it tastes good. All right, cool. Super weird. What does the slug one do? We can escape stuff. Makes sense. Vulture probably makes us good against poisons and rotting stuff. Cool. These are fun. These are very fun. All right, let's look at some of the non-drought ones. Let's see. We have the Beast's Sword. It's rare. The Elder Tooth Necklace. It's a monk-required item. False Boots. Let's just look at all of them. You get a +1 to attack and damage rolls with the Beast Sword. A small or larger beast with a mouth can wield the Beast Sword. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is the goal here that you could just be a doggy with a sword? Is that what's going on here? Beasts attuned to the sword have proficiency with it. Amazing. A beast that has a bite attack cannot use that attack while wielding the sword. Sure. While wielding the sword, while wielded by a beast, the sword deals an additional 1d8 slashing damage, but lacks the versatile property. Cool. So it deals 2d8 damage if a beast is wielding it. And beasts with multi-attack can replace up to 2 of their attacks with it. If your form changes into a beast while attuned to the beast sword, you can choose not to have it absorbed. The only thing I would say here is I'm scared of giving this item to a Beastmaster Ranger, because I feel like a Beastmaster Ranger's pet dealing 2d8 damage might be a lot, but maybe it's fine. But it's really fun. Like, the goal here is great. Oh, it's got a paw on the pommel. That's so funny. That's very funny. Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to break anybody's bank. That's where my head went with, like, ooh, that'd be a lot. But then maybe not in a bad way, I don't know. I mean, the new Beastmaster, its pet is pretty dang strong. Not in a bad way. Is there... yeah, I don't know. I'd want to see it I'd want to see it used before I made too big a feeling about it in any direction. I could totally see it going in any direction, really. In terms of feeling like totally chill and not even thinking about it as being hectic or being like, oh, you are... That's a lot, you know. Could go either way. All right, let's take a look at the Elder Tooth Necklace. So another rare item. This one requires attunement by a monk. A large fang that has been laced through a piece of thin rope. The Elder Tooth Necklace has 2 charges. While attuned to the necklace, you can use your bonus action and expend a charge to transform your mouth into a wolf-like maw with sharpened teeth for 1 minute. While transformed, you can do a bite attack, deals 1d6 damage, and when you hit a creature with the maw, you gain temporary hit points equal to half the damage dealt. It counts as a monk weapon for you, and you can make an additional bite attack when using Flurry of Blows. Oh, cool. Okay, so when you activate this item, you get temporary hit points when you hit somebody, and then your Flurry of Blows does 3 attacks instead of 2. That's pretty cool. I might make that very rare. But I like that. That's fun. I like the idea of getting a big magic mouth. If you were worried about the temporary hit points on every attack, just remember that temporary hit points don't stack. So it could be the kind of thing, it could be a weird situation where you hit a creature and you get 30 temporary hit, you get basically whenever you have temporary hit points and you would gain temporary hit points, you can either actually, I'm curious how this works, but I think if you already have temporary hit points and you want to use another feature that gives you temporary hit points, you lose all of those original temporary hit points. So for example, if I hit a creature with this magic item and I do 8 damage, I gain 4 temporary hit points. And then if I hit the creature again, I only do 4 damage. I could either keep the 8 temporary hit points from before or replace them with the 2 new ones, so they don't stack. That's the way that I interpret it. That's just me. I think that's the way to do it, though. All right, let's take a look at false print boots. Only humanoids can wear them. While wearing the boots, you can choose to have them leave tracks of any type of beast, up to 1 size larger than you or smaller. Great, fun, good, simple, not a bad common magic item. Actually, a really good common magic item, but I think that's fine. Cool. Adventures. And these are some characters that are adventurers of the Beastlands. It's really fun, guys. Oops. This is really fun. Really, really fun. All of you should be very proud of yourselves. Let's give a big round of applause to everybody that participated in this really pretty cool project. Legit really cool. If I want to check out more of the art before we go, sure. 72. We got the Briankin? The Briankin? Oh my god, that's such a funny way of saying brine, but it works. Briankin? Little crab guy. We got the Gelfin we saw earlier. We got the Marara, which is like a fishy person. Very nice. Oh, I like the feet. We got Mari, which is what the fuck? They're like pig bats with 2 heads. What? That's crazy looking. And then there's the Chirili, which is looks like a little hedgehog guy. Porky. We got a little hedgehog with some pet ants. And then we got the Unitari. I still think this might be my favorite art for it. Nwalela. Yeah, man, really good art. Honestly, the whole thing is really good. Anybody that's here should watch, should definitely use this. I can see, even just skimming it, there's a whole bunch of really cool things that we're not looking at. There's a bunch of monsters that look really cool. All the subclasses look cool. All those D&D species that we just didn't read look really cool. It all looks friggin' great. It all looks friggin' great. Yeah. Okay. Music change. Woo! That was pretty cool. That was Beastlands. What'd you guys think? I thought it was pretty great. You guys should be proud of yourselves. The thing is, even if it didn't happen to be really actually like good quality and we were just making stuff and it still was kind of blechel, that's still a reason to be proud of yourself. Like, working together with a group of people on a project and seeing it through, that alone is not an easy task. Compound that with the fact that none of us are doing that professionally, that you guys are like meeting through a Discord on the internet, probably with a big wide range of skills and ages. Like, not easy to do. And the fact that you're able to do that and then on top of it make it really cool is crazy. It's very good. It's very good, guys. So be proud of yourselves and live your best life, you know. Next week, okay, we're not ending stream just yet, but we are going to stop looking at that. So just to remind you guys what's going on Thursday. On Thursday, we have a stream where we are looking at Homebrew that you guys write that is the opposite of things that already exist. So you could take opposite subclasses specifically. So go give it a gander. The link to submit Homebrew for that is both in the video description on YouTube and in my Discord. So if you want to submit to that, please do. The theme of it is create a subclass that is the opposite of another officially published subclass. So things like the Way of Vengeance instead of the Way of Mercy monk, or making a darkness domain cleric instead of the light domain cleric, or making a no strings attached paladin instead of a devotion paladin, or I don't know. You know, the gimmick is it could be the opposite of the thing or an evil version of the thing, and you can express it either mechanically as the opposite, like if one is all built around damage, maybe yours is about, you know, negating damage, or just thematically different. Like, it doesn't need to totally mirror it, but I do think you should be aiming for some element of both symmetry in theme and mechanics if you can. Challenge yourself to do that if you can. If you're like, it's not fitting my vibe, don't worry. Just make the thing you want to make, and it'll still be cool. The underdog fighter, or instead of the champion fighter, literally the loser fighter. Underdog could also work, though. Underdog also works. But, like, the part of why I like this process is I don't think there's a wrong answer. Like, I don't think there is an official the opposite of a champion fighter. I think what's going to be interesting is seeing how many different interpretations of the opposite of a thing we have. Like, even in the Discord, there was a conversation about what is the opposite of a Way of Vengeance paladin. Is it a Way of Mercy monk? Or is it a Way of Redemption paladin? Like, do those opposites already exist? Like, how would you interpret them? Or, like, we also were joking around a lot about the opposite of a Way of the Beast, Path of the Beast barbarian. The first joke that I thought was so funny was, instead of Path of the Beast barbarian, Path of the Human barbarian, or Path of the Man barbarian. But then the other version of that I actually think would also be good is, instead of Path of the Beast barbarian, Path of the Domestic barbarian. You know? You got the beastly and the domesticated. That could also work. So there's all sorts of weird, goofy direction. Path of wild magic could be path of controlled magic. So there's a lot of, and there's not a right or wrong answer. You guys can make silly stuff or serious stuff. The goal at the end of the day is just to think about what you think the opposite of one of the official subclasses is, and make yours drive towards that goal like the light of the Emperor through the warp. Your guiding star, your lighthouse in the darkness. And then, I think next week, we are going to look at maybe another compendium. That's the Arctic one. I got to talk to the people that put that one together and get them to do what they did, what Baba did for me for this one. Because I think the Arctic compendium is also complete. We are going to be wrapping up soon. I hate to do the thing where I say, give me money. But if you are not subbed on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, you can sub for free with Amazon Prime. If you are not a member on YouTube and you want to be, or you are not a patron on Patreon and you want to be, or also any of those things plus subs on Twitch, aside from getting access to a couple like behind the scenes things that I've done, but it's not enough to really make that a real thing. The main benefit, aside from wanting to support me, is you get much more likely access for your homebrew to be reviewed on my open wheel homebrew days, because I use 2 homebrew wheels. One's really big, which is everybody posting stuff to, and one's really little, which is just my patrons, members, and subs. And because I do that every one of those streams, like at this point, and people that are members, patrons, and subs can say whether or not they feel like this is accurate in the chat, but I do feel like if you are on that little wheel, it is likely that your homebrew is getting reviewed most days. Or maybe not guaranteed likely, but more than 50% more likely. But yeah, you know, I think also what we're going to start probably doing as we move on in the weeks with streaming is going to be more shorter streams that are like this, where they go for like 3 to 4 hours as opposed to like 7 hours. And having some of them be more focused like this, but also having some that are just a little bit more open-ended, where we're answering your questions, we're going on tangents, and we're sort of figuring out what we're doing as we're doing it. That's what I think. We'll see. No, the projects are not just for members. They're for everyone too. It's just that the one that we just looked at happened to be one that was all members that wanted to do it. So usually the member section sometimes does their own thing, but the Project Arctic was open. Anybody could do it, open to anybody. Project Fairy Tale sounds like a fun idea. That's a cool idea for one. Anyway, you don't need to subscribe to get involved in these projects, but it helps a little. We aren't going to have stream tomorrow. Actually, there is a very small chance that I will stream tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, it will probably be playing Vermintide with Zach Speaks Giant and Adam Lucas. That is most likely what the stream would be if I streamed tomorrow. But most likely I'm not. Wednesday, I'm going to see my friend perform a show, so we're not streaming. Or, yeah, we're not streaming. And then Thursday, we got a show. And this week, I'll have probably a Warhammer video coming out on the main channel, long form style. If not by the end of the week, by the weekend. And yeah. Yeah, those guys are pretty cool. They're my buddies. Oh, Project Fairy Tale is already in the works? Excuse me, I didn't realize. I had no idea. I was unsure. Speaking of unsure, who should we raid? We're gonna raid somebody on Twitch. Who should we raid? Casters and Cantrips, maybe? Let's see. Any of my friends streaming? Oh, we should raid. I think we should raid. Oh, okay. No. We got a new game from Magi RPG. We should raid them. They're great. Okay, folks. If you've never been here for the end of stream before and you want to have some ending credits and a tiny bit of closure in this strange dark world of ours, stick around. If you're like, fuck you, I'm gonna leave, then all I would say is stick around until we raid so that they can feel like we do a big raid and it feels nice for them. Other than that, if you're on YouTube, I'll spam their channel in the chat so you guys can raid too if you want. But, you know, no pressure. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed looking at the Beastlands. Sorry for the slightly shorter stream tonight, but I have some work I need to do. And to be honest, I'm a little tired and I have a little bit of a headache. So I wanted to not overdo it tonight so that I could hit the ground running with all of the not streaming work I got to do tomorrow and Wednesday. But I love you. You're amazing. And this has been lovely. I really, really hope you guys keep making Homebrew in this way. And we get to keep having streams where we review it together. Because that would be great. There isn't a huge delay on Twitch versus YouTube. Sometimes YouTube just isn't playing it super live for whatever reason. Anyway, you guys are great. Have a good night. Let me end stream in the right way. Be good to each other. And I will see you on Thursday. I love you. You're great. Be proud of yourself. Make new things. You have it in you to do wonders. Do those wonders. Go do them. Whatever they are. I believe in you. I believe in me. I believe in us. Also, if you're on YouTube, there's the Twitch channel if you want to raid with us. If you want to join us over on Twitch to raid Magi RPG. All right, you're lovely. Have a good night. Love you. Bye.